related to Karen Reed. And ladies and gentlemen, our friends on the Towel YouTube are with us. Oh, it is a glorious day. It is an intense day. It was a chaotic day. It feels like a snow day in May. My name is GrantSmithEllis. Karen Reed. And ladies and gentlemen, our friends, thank you for allowing me to check to make sure that the audio was working over on the YouTube. Yes, my name is GrantSmithEllis. I'm a towel. That was some crazy stuff. I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to compose myself a little bit. The last 4 to 5 hours of my life were a little bit of a whirlwind. I'm going to take you through it. I'm going to take you through the moments at 8:30 when Little Towel walked into the courthouse with my colleagues. We were in the media line, ladies and gentlemen. We were ready to get our passes. The clerks told us to wait a few minutes at about 8:33. And then at 8:36, out of nowhere, court was canceled. Ladies and gentlemen, Little Towel had sources on the ground who told me that the O'Keefe family and the witnesses who were testifying today were out of the car on the side of the courthouse, ready to walk in when they were told to get back into the car. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we don't know exactly what happened. I know that there was a tweet, we will look at it, indicating that Karen Reed's health might have been the cause of this last-minute delay, but let me tell you folks, no one knew it was coming. The court staff, I watched them bring in the waters for the jury. The court officers, the court clerks, everyone was ready for today's day 15 of the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial to begin. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it was chaotic scenes. Little Towel was on the ground. I watched Hank Brennan go in and out of that building 3 times. I got clips. Hank Brennan told me to enjoy the weather, and I told him to enjoy the weather. It was a very strange moment. Ladies and gentlemen, what happened was, I'm going to take you through it exactly. 8:30 a.m., we get led into court. Okay, I'm in the clerk's office. There's 3 reporters. It was the court TV pool camera person, Andrea from Canton Community TV, and then me, and then behind me was Sue O'Connell, and then I'm pretty sure one of the guys from Channel 5 was there, and then I think Abby Patkin was there, and then Katie Benoit was there, and then Penny from Channel 4 was there. Okay, that was, and then Ted Daniel may have been in there somewhere, and then Matt Johnson was around somewhere. That was the extent of the people in the building. Okay, so there's this flurry of activity going around behind us. We had just watched Hank Brennan walk in. We'll watch the clips. Actually, you know what? That's the best way to do it. Let's experience it in real time. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't really even know how to explain what happened today. It was very odd. Towel covers a lot of criminal trials. Very rarely do I see just all of a sudden, with no notice, with the prosecution and the witnesses and the victim's family there, the case just gets stopped, brought to a grinding halt outside of someone going to the emergency room or suffering a very serious medical condition or passing away. This is not the kind of thing that just happens, ladies and gentlemen. And let me tell you, even among Karen supporters I was talking to today, people were concerned. I don't know what is going on with Karen Reed's health, but I'll tell you, we couldn't get confirmation, the reporters, from anyone at the court that it was Karen Reed's health. But there were Jenna Rocco, who is close to Karen Reed, posted on social media and then deleted it, that it was Karen's health that caused the delay, or that caused today to be canceled. But let me just take you through what happened today, and then it wasn't a very long update. And then I'll try to explain to you what it was like being there. It was a very surreal scene. It was contained chaos, I guess is how I would explain it. There were a bunch of people who are normally very professional and composed running around like chickens with their heads cut off. Like they had no idea what was going on. It was completely unexpected. It took, yes, but this was, I understand what people are saying, that this seems like some kind of tactical maneuver by Karen. No, that's not the vibe that I got. Not at all. I don't know exactly what has happened, but I got we'll talk about it, but there was an 11 a.m. Zoom hearing, and then the media got kicked out of the courtroom for that hearing. It wasn't on the regular Zoom. No one could see it or watch it. It went to sidebar. Alan Jackson was in a sweatshirt on the Zoom hearing, and then David Yannetti was in a hotel, or looked like maybe his office, and then the prosecution was there in person. It was Brennan, Lally, Laura McLaughlin, and Caleb Schillinger. Yeah, I think it's Schillinger. So that's what was going on. So it was very, very, very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. I'll take you through it. Let's watch the clips. I think that will help to explain what exactly this was like for Little Towel. So let's start at the beginning of the day. Little Towel gets there, and this is, I was standing, you can see I was standing in line. This is when we didn't know, actually, hold on. So right away, okay, we got news that it was canceled entirely. Even though John's niece and John O'Keefe's thrice orphaned now niece and nephew were scheduled to take the stand, they had already been made to wait days by Alan Jackson doing his cross. Now here's Brennan's arrival. We'll take a look at it together, folks. Little Towels, you can watch it with me. This was the after I posted this after we got news that court was canceled for the day, but then we started hearing rumors about an 11 a.m. motion hearing. So let's just watch Mr. Brennan walk into court. So, ladies and gentlemen, you can see that was the moment when Hank Brennan walked in the first time. Now, let's take a look. Here, let's actually look at it in order. Then this happened, okay? Hank Brennan then came out of court once, okay? And he told us to all have a beautiful day, okay? But I want you to watch how this all plays out. Let me replay that for you one more time. Hold on. There we go. So this was Hank Brennan coming out of court as all the media trying to figure out what's going on. We don't know if there's going to be a hearing. We don't know how this is all going to play out.
Mr. Brennan, do you know why court was canceled today?
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Have a good day, guys. Hey.
So you can see again.
Mr. Brennan, do you know why court was canceled today?
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Have a good day, guys. Hey.
Nothing. He wouldn't give us anything, ladies and gentlemen. So then it got even weirder because Mr. Brennan then came back to the courthouse. Okay, now watch what happened when Mr. Brennan came back. He started talking with some of what looked like the witness advocates, maybe. So this is him now coming back for the second time. All the media standing there like chickens with their head cut off.
Mr. Brennan, can you shed any light on the situation today?
How is everybody?
Good. How are you, sir? I couldn't hear what they were saying, but you can see Brennan standing up there delivering the news. This was right after 8:30, maybe 9 a.m. or so. And they stood there for a while. He was delivering that news, and I think those might be the victims' witness advocates. But either way, so that was the thing that happened next. So now Hank Brennan's in the courtroom, right? And then Hank Brennan ends up leaving again. I didn't catch that one. But then he returns for a third time. And now you can see him. I only caught the end of his return. Mr. Brennan. So now Brennan's in the courthouse. That was about, what, 9:42? Then we get word, okay, from Jenna Rocco at 9:17. You can see it right here on the screen, folks. You can see the tweet from Jenna Rocco. Okay, it says Karen's not feeling well. 9:17 a.m., 5/13/25. Now, ladies and gentlemen, not feeling well is not an excuse to miss a trial, okay? That is not, you don't just stop a trial because the defendant's not feeling well. You better be in the emergency room or, like, very seriously ill. Maybe you have a contagious disease. There was something kind of going around. Some of the reporters were a little sick, I heard. But, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think they would just stop a trial because Karen has the sniffles. No, ladies and gentlemen, something's going on here. I don't know exactly what, but it was weird, okay? Now, Little Towel's just standing around, right, waiting for all this to play out. And then there was a situation involving the Karen Reed fans who were very concerned about this these two people driving up from Virginia Hold on. I want to get the person's name right, because this was a little bit of a weird situation. I'm showing you this all in order. Now, Hank Brennan's in the courthouse with Adam Lally and the rest of the ADA team. Little Towel is sitting outside of court with the rest of the media. We're all just perplexed. Then I see this situation unfold, okay? Which involved, hold on, it involved Dolly Vision and PJ Vision, okay? They apparently came up from Virginia. And the Karen Reed fans were very, very concerned by their presence, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know exactly what the history is. I don't know who these people are. I don't know why the Karen Reed fans were concerned about them. But all of a sudden, apparently the Karen Reed fans had the state police go over and talk to these two people who were just sitting in a car. They didn't look like they were bothering anyone. But anyway, Little Towel then captures this among the weird developments going on. Nothing really happened. The state police just kind of sat there, talked to them, and then walked away. But it was still a bit of a weird moment. And Little Towel then contributed to the people running around like ducks, chickens with their heads cut off, because I was running, we're like, what the hell is going on down there? As we're waiting for Hank Brennan just sitting in the courtroom. We don't know what's going to happen. So there you go. And the state police ended up not really bothering them. They just walked away. People went about their business. But then, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens at the end of the day. So this is the way I reported it from the hallway. I am standing in the hallway. What time was this at? It was at 11:18. I am standing in the hallway of Norfolk Superior Court. The John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial courtroom has been closed. Judge Cannoni has started a hearing. The prosecution is in the room. The defense is on Zoom. Media were ejected. We are at sidebar. Okay, so here's how this played out. We're all sitting there. We hear rumors that there might be some kind of 11 a.m. hearing. And then around then, all the media starts meandering into the courtroom. Jonathan Hall got there early enough to actually see the initial start of the hearing. The rest of us were just kind of like following him up the stairs and standing in the cul-de-sac area outside the main courtroom, like between the main courtroom on the second floor and the small courtroom. The motion hearing was in the small courtroom, courtroom 25, and the doors were closed. So there were only 5 or 6 of us left by that time. It was Sue's colleague from NBC 10. It was me. It was Jonathan Hall. It was, I don't know if it was, I think Abby Patkin was there. Yep, Abby was there. There were only 4 or 5 of us in the hallway, and John Hall had been kicked out of the courtroom 25. And what we were told was that it was just a sidebar. Like, it came into session. The court came into session. Alan Jackson was on the Zoom. He said that he didn't have, he just had a sweatshirt on, so he didn't want to turn his camera on, which made me wonder, like, what's going on? Like, is it him that's sick? Is it Karen? But then Judge Cannoni was like, it's fine, you can turn your camera on, I don't care. Judge Cannoni, Alan Jackson turned his camera on, okay, from what I understand. David Yannetti was in his office or a hotel. It was unclear, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, so it was, hold on, let me bring you back into this moment. We're standing outside in the hall room. John Hall said he was in there for a few minutes, okay? And that all he could see was Alan Jackson turn his camera on after saying he had a sweatshirt on, and Judge Cannoni saying that's fine, and David Yannetti in some kind of an office in a suit. Then the prosecution, as I mentioned, were all there in the room. I didn't hear anything about Karen or whether she was even on the screen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how interesting is that? I don't know if Karen was actually on the screen. Does that mean Karen's in, like, the hospital? She couldn't even come on the Zoom? You know what I mean? This is all what I was reporting, the information I was getting as it was happening. I was also told it was not the regular court Zoom and that most people couldn't access. It was not accessible. The only reason we knew it was happening was because we happened to be in the hallway of the courtroom as it was transpiring and the door was closed. And to bring you back a little bit more, the sound masking used by the court to prevent John Hall from being able to hear what was going on made it so that the attorneys on the Zoom couldn't hear what was going on. So as a result, Judge Cannoni kicked the media out of the courtroom entirely and held a closed-door hearing where the prosecution was there, the defense attorneys were there on Zoom, and Judge Cannoni was there. Then all of us waited around in the hallway. There were only 5 of us who actually stuck it out because we had some inkling something was going on. So the 5 of us, ladies and gentlemen, were sitting in the hallway, and the first people to come out were the prosecution. They didn't say anything to us. They couldn't comment. They just, I think Brennan said something like, the weather is nice. Literally, that's all he said. He walked downstairs. I watched them, Laura McLaughlin, Caleb Schillinger, Adam Lally, and Hank Brennan walk down the stairs, the marble staircase, take a right, and go into the Norfolk DA's office in the courthouse. Then we all stood around, more confused, the 5 or 6 of us in the media pool who were hanging around outside that courtroom, and we all said, okay, we're going to wait for the clerk, who I think goes by Jimmy, but I call him Mr. Clerk. But anyway, someone's like, well, let's just wait for Jimmy, and he'll try to give us an update. So we stand there for another 3 minutes, and now we're all really actually quite concerned because John Hall told us like about the Zoom and how Karen wasn't there. It was just a weird situation. So the clerk comes out, and he immediately puts his hands up, and he's like, I got nothing for you. I got nothing for you. And then we're all like, oh, but like we try to like, I didn't pester him, but the other reporters who were a little more older than me were kind of like, oh, but, you know, like, can't, like, how do we say this? Like, you know, we know you can't say too much, but, like, is it a medical issue involving a party to the case? And then Walter, the clerk, was like, yes. And so that's how we got that statement, ladies and gentlemen. So this is how it was. This is how it all played out in real time. Okay, so I was one of the. There were only 6 people there. I'm telling you every single thing that occurred today. It was very unsettling. There was a heavy atmosphere. And as I mentioned, I couldn't get anything out of Karen's supporters. I was talking to them. I even had some conversations on background just to try to get as much as I could. And they, even some of them were telling me like they had a very heavy feeling in their heart, like they knew something was wrong. No, I think Karen's parents just go from Dighton to the courthouse, from what I understand. Jew drops. And so that's the other thing. When I left that courthouse, okay, I left under the impression we were just going to pick up tomorrow. But then I realized no one actually said that to me. No one told me there wasn't going to be court tomorrow, but I just was like, okay, so they didn't tell me, no, I will be here tomorrow. No, ladies and gentlemen, we never got confirmation there's going to be court tomorrow. I don't actually know if there's going to be court tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure what we should do. I don't know what has happened. I don't know if Karen's in the hospital. I don't like, so what I'm saying is I was on the ground. I was there. I was watching this unfold. I know a lot of these players just somewhat well, like the court staff, not like know them personally, but like I've seen them in so many situations, like at district court, superior court, whatever. There was something gravely wrong. There was something gravely wrong. That's what I'm saying, Doc V. And folks, we'll talk about this a little bit because I was one of the only people there. But let's watch. Oh, by the way, talk about only people there. So you remember how I mentioned that there were only 6 reporters up there in the second floor of the courthouse? I realized what was going on. I didn't need to stay around and figure out more inside. I ran right outside. And folks, I was one of the only people, even like the news cameramen they had to go do their shots at the corner of the streets because it was that's where they set up to do their hits with their reporters. I was one of the only people that managed to run down and get this footage of Hank Brennan leaving. It was actually pretty incredible. Like you can't really get much of a read from Brennan's face, but yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there was a heavy atmosphere, and this is exclusive footage, by the way. It's not like I was standing shoulder to shoulder with other cameramen. No, I was one of the only people that stuck it out. This was the last moment Hank Brennan left the court today, and look, I mean, you guys can try to tell me, you fellow towels, what you think about Brennan's demeanor here. This was the last moment of the day. This was Hank Brennan leaving after the Zoom hearing. So take a look. Hold on one second. I'm going to let it buffer and replay it. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. Okay, so look at this, folks. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. Just a heavy atmosphere. Like I don't think he was upset, but he wasn't like, it was like, I got the sense that something very serious had happened. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, and listen, it was Jenna Rocco who made the post on Twitter, none your business, okay? And I'll just take a look at it right here. You know, Jenna Rocco was the one who made this post. Now we know Jenna and Nick are very close to Karen. We know I would go as far as to say that Jenna and Nick really care about Karen. So it's not like Jenna's posting that stuff for clout. I think if she posted that, it's because Karen might actually not be doing well. Now, there are a lot of moving pieces here, folks. Okay, there's a lot of moving pieces. As I mentioned, there was a heavy atmosphere. Karen's supporters, by the way, there was, I don't know, 20 of them at 8 a.m. when I got there, 15 to 20. And I said hello to them. And they were all, by the way, we have to make note of this. I want you to know every single one of them. Every single one expressed condolences as to the passing of my father. Everyone. They all took their time. They each individually came over to me and said, you know, Timmy shook my hand. And we all, people, I just want you to know that moment happened as well. And I think we dehumanize different sides of this case sometimes, but those Free Karen Reed supporters absolutely did not have to go out of their way, but they saw me walking by to go over to the court, and they came and said hello, Gran, and they said, you know, our condolences, and we want you to know, and it was a nice moment. But they left, okay? So that whole crowd, except for Deanna, I think it's Deanna. It's not Dina. It might be Dina. Okay, so Dina, who's one of the boots on the ground people, just goes to everything. Very loyal FKR supporter. She was still there, and Timmy was still there, and then there was one more person still there, maybe like 2 hours later. But for the most part, the Karen Reed people just went home. And it was a very, like, the state police were at their posts around the building, even though Karen wasn't there. It was just a very weird atmosphere. I wish I could report to you something solid and say this is what happened, this is why people were acting that way. But as of now, my best insight for you is I can only tell you that that's what I saw. That's what I'm saying. There was this very, very, that's what I'm saying. So but Macy, we're as far as we know, there is court tomorrow. Okay. But as far as we knew, there was court today. Now, listen, can you really have a 24-hour medical emergency? Sure. But listen, this whole situation is weird. Something is unsettling about it. There's something off about it. That's what I'm wondering. So, as I said, Macy, I did see your comment, but yeah, there's something a little bit off. There's just something off. Oh. There's something off, folks. There's something off, and I'm trying to put this together. Listen, I'll answer your questions, okay? And we'll have a little bit of talk about this. But I'm not just, if I thought this was something minor or procedural, I would be saying it. But that was not the vibe I got. It was a heavy vibe. It was like Karen is not available vibe. And, you know, that's what I'm saying. Like, there was something so odd about the atmosphere at the courthouse. It was like the reason why this is hard to analyze is there was no one coming up to me and saying, Grant, here is what's going on. But the demeanor of the people, of the court staff, the way the timing all played out, like we were about to get our media passes. They were ready to hand them out. They were telling us we were going to have to be segregated on the first floor for a little bit while the witnesses came in, because it was obviously John's niece and nephew. As I said, I heard from some people, just random passerbys on the street who happened to walk by when the O'Keefe family was arriving. They were like, oh, yeah, we heard the court officers telling them to get back in the car. So let's put this timeline together, folks. Court opens at 8:30, okay? That means by 8:36, the court had not just talked to Karen's lawyers, but made the decision to cancel for the day. What's my gut feeling? Yeah, no, Karen didn't talk yesterday. I think yesterday was when we can find the clip, but I'm pretty sure yesterday is when David Yannetti told wasn't it when David Yannetti said Karen doesn't have any comment today? And yeah, she didn't talk to the press. No, Karen is not banned from drinking alcohol. Karen is permitted to drink alcohol because she didn't accept that bail condition. All right, now Little Towels. We need to figure out. Listen, I don't think it's drinking. I don't think it's a hangover. We need to look a little bit into this. All right, and we need to. We'll take a look at Karen's remarks from leaving court yesterday. But just as one of the people on the ground, I wish I did capture it, I think, in my description to you, but the unsettling. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. It's not like I got the sense this was a tactical move by Karen. Like, that's not the demeanor that people had, even the prosecution. I didn't sense frustration. I didn't sense, that's what I'm saying. Like, you can't take any of this as anything more than me reading people's demeanors, because no one said anything to me about any of this. But the demeanor was not frustration or anger, as I said. It was more just like, how do I put this? Like, they weren't bemused. They were very solemn, but kind of like, it was like an affirmation. Like, they were affirmatively solemn. Like, they had this affirmation of solace about them. That's the only way I can describe it. Like, they weren't happy, but there was something there. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it was, but it didn't make sense. There were just too many weird developments. Like, the O'Keefes shouldn't have been told about this when they got to court. The prosecution should have been notified earlier. Like, it had to have been something that happened, like, literally as Karen was trying to get to court. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Sis was asking if it was shocked looking. I think that's a good way to explain it. Oh, I have to tell you a really interesting moment. I saw Vinnie Politan being all friendly and amicable and chatting up the state police. It was the whole Court TV team. It was Matt Johnson, Vinnie Politan, and one other guy were chatting up the state police. One of the sergeants, like the main trooper there, and I was like, "Oh, Vinny, so that's what you're like, huh? You're all cordial and amicable with the state police. Meanwhile, you go spew off what I would argue is mostly pro-defense nonsense on your Court TV show." There's someone saying they think it might have to do with her flipping the bird. No, ladies and gentlemen, stuff like that, especially with, like, where you can say, Your Honor, I'm there for 8 hours. Like, I was just instinctively scratching my eye. No, I don't really think it was that. No, the biggest thing that makes this weird is that Jackson delayed the niece and nephew's testimony clearly by drawing out that cross. And then as soon as they're about to take the stand, literally as they're about to take the stand, this happens. But no, that's what I'm saying. You can't posture, in my opinion, you can't posture like this if you are you can't posture like this if you're, like, procedurally faking it. The judge is going to drag your lawyers in there and be like, you, like, on under oath, like, whatever, it will be on sidebar, but you affirm to me what happened, like, and we're going to get records. Like, you don't just say it. Hot coffee chats, the best way to do it would be to take a screenshot. You can send it to me as a DM. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think we need to all take a breath here, okay? As one of the only people who was actually there and within, like, 10 feet or 5 feet of some of these humans as they were going in and out of that building. I'm encouraging you not to, at least until we know more. Like, I don't think anyone necessarily should be, like, making jokes about this. I think we absolutely need to take some time and we need to figure out what is going on. Like, what is this woman okay? Like, is she physically ill? Did she have a situation like that was self-induced? What? And that is a very serious thing. I have said before, I do not. If any of you are trying to push this woman to hurt herself, you are just completely in the wrong. That is not why the criminal justice system exists. And you know what I'm saying? Like, it's nothing to even like saying like, oh, I hope that's a terrible thing to wish for. That's absolutely shameful. And it's disturbing. Ladies and gentlemen, it is disturbing. One second, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so, folks, it was heavy. I don't listen. It could just be, Karen had a, but that's what I'm saying. How do you have a 24-hour medical condition that is so serious that you're back tomorrow? You know what I mean? Like, it's so serious where we have to stop all testimony and then we come back tomorrow. Now, the other thing is, it might not, like, yes, it was a little weird, I think, that I heard Karen was not on the Zoom. So we really need to focus, folks, on what all of this means. Was it maybe her father, something that happened to him? Was it Karen? Obviously, General Rocco tweeting Karen sick and then deleting it. Seems to me this is about Karen. And if it is, in fact, about Karen, it's all these people saying, okay, we're going to go back into session tomorrow. Okay, like, yes, I think we're scheduled to, but how can we confirm that? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So the fact that the defense didn't actually like drive to court, like there may have been an event this morning. They could have found her in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to be very careful about this. And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. The new Ring videos, maybe they just got more discovery. Like, is this the cover to take I thought that could have been a plea like right then and there, but no. It was that we were told, quote, listen to how weird this is, folks. We were told, quote, it was about scheduling. The closed door sidebar Zoom hearing was about scheduling. Really? That's what I'm saying. Like, no, like I really do get the sense that this might have been either. It's so weird. It's the first time in this case I've just been utterly befuddled. And not even befuddled and I'm obviously being one of the few people there, I'm just going to take my time to talk about the atmosphere. I'm just utterly befuddled with how it all played out. Just utterly befuddled. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, my word, we just have to take some time. We need to monitor what the developments are. We're going to talk a little bit more. I'm going to answer some of your questions. There isn't even anything to review. I hope you all understand. This is very rare. I can't really put into perspective how rare it is for a criminal trial, a high-profile criminal trial in Superior Court, multiple days, scheduled, booked, to just stop. Just full-on hit the stop button. That's what I'm saying. And since Hank Brennan was there and the prosecution was there and ready to go and the witnesses and the victim's family was there, John's family was there and ready to go. Folks, I as someone who has covered this case for years, who knows every item on the docket, who knows the facts backwards and forwards, the atmosphere today was not about the facts of the case. It was about what had transpired, and there was this wall of secrecy. Well, Murder by Maestro, we can rewatch that part. Drew Drops, listen, I hear what you're saying. I am in no way, shape, or form discounting that Karen does not have a great reputation. But I will say, ladies and gentlemen, that this seemed a little different. Just seemed a little different. Now, what else I want to take a look at is, oh, sorry about that. Oh my goodness, 400 towel friends watching. Oh, because I was one of the few people who was actually at the court, so I can. Oh, did we break 1,000? Ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 subscribers away. How is this? Okay, pause. We are going to have to take an actual moment. We're going to break 1,000 subscribers on Towel Stream. We're taking a pause. My name is GrantSmithEllis. Thanks for tuning in. We're recapping the shocking moments that led to today's Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial being just stopped in its tracks. If you missed some of the clips earlier, you can check out the feed on X. Hank Brennan and the prosecutors were in court. Karen never arrived. There was this weird delay from 9 to 11 a.m. After all the John's family members and the witnesses for the day were ready to go. There was just this weird stop at 8:36. The whole day was canceled. And then Karen Reed never showed up at court. Then at 11 a.m., there was a Zoom hearing closed to everyone, the media, everyone involved, except for the prosecutors, Karen Reed's lawyers, and I don't even know if Karen Reed was on the Zoom. And then after that, ladies and gentlemen, we were told it had to do with a medical condition, the closed-door hearing and the canceling of testimony related to someone in the case. There was a tweet at 9:23 a.m. from Jenna Rocco saying, ladies and gentlemen, that Karen Reed was sick. And then at that point, at 11 a.m., there was a closed-door Zoom hearing about scheduling, and we know nothing about it other than it has to do with a party who is sick related to the case. And then the day ended, and Hank Brennan had nothing to say to the media at the whole day except for, I hope you enjoy the weather. Ladies and gentlemen, something is going on, and folks, who is going to be... Oh, we did it! Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the 1,000 subscriber milestone. Hold on. Let's do it. Let's do the clip. Get in here for the clip, towel friends. Oh, towel friends. What a day. What a moment. Hold on. I will have to open up the stream. What a moment. What a special moment to be here with you all. We will celebrate this moment together. Now, hold on. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Hold on one second. Yes, get in here for the clip. Oh, towel friends, hello, my name's GrantSmithEllis. If you missed day 15 of the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial, you didn't miss it because it got canceled in this very strange series of events, ladies and gentlemen, that we will talk about a little bit later. But right now, we have reached a celebratory milestone on Towel Stream. Ladies and gentlemen, 1,000 towel subscribers, the washcloths, the towelettes, the hemp towels, the paper towels, the soap dispensers, the flannels, the microfiber towels, ladies and gentlemen, the beach towels. It is a towel-based celebration. We reached 1,000 subscribers together. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a glorious day. It is a glorious moment for Towel Channel. If you would like to come join the discussion, if you want to meet some wonderful people, ladies and gentlemen, feel free. YouTube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. You can support the Towel Channel by liking the video. You can subscribe. We'll go for 10,000 next, ladies and gentlemen. We will facilitate a better and fairer world rooted in not preserving, demonstrating, and expanding our power, but preserving, demonstrating, and expanding our capacity for doing small acts of service and representing and manifesting universal unconditional love. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a unique place. It's a special place. Today's Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial testimony may have been canceled. We don't even know if we'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow, but that is the plan, 7:30 on Towel Stream a.m. Eastern. But ladies and gentlemen, I, GrantSmithEllis, would just like to take this moment to say God bless each and every one of you. You don't get these kind of milestones in life very often. I'm thrilled that it's with you all, that I have been able to build this special community. God bless so many of you, dear towel friends. It means the world to me, and I'm absolutely humbled, and I cannot wait to see where we take our towel-based industrial empire next, including uniting North America and South America based on towel production and sustainable fair wages in Mexico in order to protect the petrodollar, ward off the rise of the BRICS, and then peacefully invade northern France, which we shall rename Norman Towel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, God bless every single one of you for being here for this wonderful moment. This was the 1,000 subscriber clip Towel waited 2 days to make. And in this bittersweet moment, I also will dedicate this to my dear father who passed away just 2 nights ago, Frederick Ellis, who inspired me to do so much with my life on behalf of the vulnerable and the voiceless in our society. Rest in peace, Dad. And thank you for being with me, Towel friends, for this clip. And I'm so glad so many of you got to say hello to social media for when this gets posted later. All right, that was the Towel clip, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you for that. It was a special moment. It was a special moment on Towel Stream, and there's no one that I would have rather spent it with than you. But, folks, the Towel Industrial Complex. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Towel Industrial Complex is rising, and we shall facilitate sustainable towel production and therein bring about benevolent influence over the government by way of towels. Then the whole world order will start talking about towel diplomacy. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, it won't be the age of the water bearer, Aquarius. It will be the age of Aquarius, the water bearer with a towel. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God bless so many of you, Bina, Linda A., Wild Roses. Now, listen, folks, it is so interesting to me that we got all ready yesterday for today's day of testimony. We prepared for the Aruba incident to come in. We talked about what had transpired during Monday's testimony, and then all of it was for naught. So I think what's going to be, so first of all, I want to know if you have any questions, okay? So what we'll do is we'll do a review. If you were all looking forward to today and then you woke up and realized that nothing was going to be happening because Karen Reed, for whatever reason, seems to be quite ill. We don't know exactly what's going on or why, but we're monitoring and trying to find out in real time, folks. And as a result, if you have questions about what Towel saw at court today, if you want to know more about what went on, we'll do an open question and answer town hall. And as that is happening, we'll also review Monday's testimony. So we'll watch the recap from yesterday, which also has in it a preview of the Aruba testimony. So we'll get all caught up. If you have questions about what happened earlier today, what the atmosphere was like, a lot of you saw some of the wait, what? Hold on. What are we seeing? Artwork? Artwork. What are you seeing? Oh my goodness, 2 new indictments. Hold on. Where are we seeing this? Oh my dear goodness. I'm sorry, friends. Oh my goodness. What are we seeing? Holy shit. Artworks. Where are we seeing this? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry for cussing. Artworks has said there are 2 new criminal charges against Aiden Kearney. Hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, we must break in. Artworks 2, please tell me what court is it out of, dear friend. Let's go right now to mass courts. We're going to confirm it, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, it's one of those moments. Horse racing announcer Towel is ready. I was born for this moment. I'm an auctioneer. We can't sell horses, but we'll sell stuffed horses, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Absolutely, get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you tune in to Towel Stream. Oh, my dear God, ladies and gentlemen, get ready. Ready your horses. Ready your horses, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no, hold on. We need to see if 2 new indictments actually came down. All we have is Artworks 2 saying this. With this, we need to actually see if this has actually happened. Hold on. No, so we can't cover those proceedings. It's a civil proceeding. But if there are new... No, hold on. Just because TB's in court doesn't mean there's new indictments. We're Norfolk County. Folks, stay with me. Ladies and gentlemen, Artworks 2 is a genius. If Artworks 2, if you are right about this, you will be the greatest towel of all time. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm clicking the button. Oh, my word. Ladies and gentlemen, Aiden Kearney has been indicted again. Oh, my dear God. Ladies and gentlemen, Aiden Kearney has been indicted again. Aiden Kearney has been indicted again. Oh my word, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if this is a bound over charge. It is a 2-count indictment under 268.13 A and B. Ladies and gentlemen, Aiden Kearney could face a bail revocation. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, oh dear God, you're here. Oh, my goodness. I don't know what to say. Oh, dear God, what is happening right now? Oh, dear God, how did this happen? How did this happen? God bless America. God bless America. You're here for a good thing. You're tuned in. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. Look on your screen. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Give me 1 second. I have to get your comments back up on the screen for this epic video we're going to make. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my dear Lord. Stay with little towel. I can't believe this happened live. Oh, my God. Oh, my dear God. Oh, my dear God. Is Aiden Kearney going to be arrested? Oh, my word. Oh, dear Lord, ladies and gentlemen. I think Towel needs more energy. How has this happened? Oh, my word. Ready your towels. Ready your towels. Ready your towels, ladies and gentlemen. Ready your towels. Okay, here we go. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. My name is GrantSmithEllis, and I'm able to confirm for you that Aiden Turtleboy Kearney has just been indicted again. Indicted again on 2 new counts. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the mass courts link for you here. The case number is 2582CR00088. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 2 counts under 268.13b, felony for witness intimidation. They are indictments, ladies and gentlemen. They were handed up just today. This is a new charge. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Aiden Kearney could be facing a bail revocation. Artworks 2 discovered these new charges. Ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. We're covering all these developments live right now. YouTube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. Tune in live to find out how all this plays out. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, the indictment was just handed down. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my word. Ladies and gentlemen, the counts are witness intimidation, 2 felony counts. This is 21 counts now. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, is the state going to move for bail revocation? Will arrest warrants be issued? Stay tuned, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge news. Artworks too. Okay, I'm doing my best. Ladies and gentlemen, Aiden Kearney, Turtle Boy, has been indicted again. 2 new felonies just handed down in Norfolk Superior Court. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, tune in. Let's talk about it. My name is GrantSmithEllis. Artworks 2 gets all the credit for this. Wow. 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 Oh, my word. Artworks 2, you are a super towel. Oh, my word. Oh, my word. What? We don't know that. We don't have the indictments yet. Oh, I wish I was still at the court. I wish I was still at the court. I could have got the indictment. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, ladies and gentlemen, what's the case number? 2582 CR00088. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, breaking news. Aiden Turtleboy Kearney has been indicted again on 2 new felony charges of witness intimidation. The indictment was handed up just minutes ago by a Norfolk County grand jury. Well, Artworks 2, the venerated super towel, found the news first. If Kearney will now be arrested or face a bail revocation remains unclear. Kearney is literally walking into Worcester Superior Court for a 2 p.m. hearing wherein he is trying to sue one of the named victims in his now 21 open criminal cases across multiple courts in the Commonwealth. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. named victims. I cannot believe this is happening. I cannot believe what is happening right now. Oh, my dear God. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. I don't even know how to react to this. It's all happening. It's all happening right now. In real time. This is worthy of multiple alarm emojis. Oh, my God. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, is he going to be arrested? What's going to happen? Nobody knows. We're going to watch in real time. We got to get this indictment, ladies and gentlemen. Can someone help Little Towel get the indictment? Oh, my word. Oh, horse racing announcer Towel actually has a reason to be yelling like a horse racing announcer Towel. Oh, my dear God. Case number is out of Norfolk Superior Court. Oh, for the new indictments oh, my dear God. Artworks too. You literally just sent Little Towel into a breaking news spiral. I started yelling. I didn't just become a horse racing announcer Towel. I was literally screaming. Oh, wow. Well, you want to watch an interesting live stream, folks. You just got it. You got it on Towel Stream. Artworks too. Do you have a Twitter? What do you want me to quote you on Twitter? What is your X username? Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Wow. Wow. Oh, is this you? If you follow me, it probably is you. Artworks_2. No, it's not you. Artworks2. Oh, my dear God, my dear friend. I cannot believe you found that. This is just incredible. I cannot believe that just happened live. Oh, my dear God. Oh, my dear God. Thank you for your kind donation. Oh. Just hours earlier, the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial came to a shocking halt with no notice, apparently due to Karen Reed's health. This news is developing. Tune in now to chat and watch it all unfold. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, are they going to arrest this man? Are they going to pick this man up right now? Are they allowed to? Can you do that? Does it have to come with an arrest warrant? Oh, my dear God, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, there is shit has hit the fan. God bless you, OMFGITSMIRS. Shit has hit the fan. I'm sorry for cussing. Ladies and gentlemen, things have hit the fan entirely. Aidan Kearney has been indicted again. Aidan Kearney has been indicted 2 more times. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is GrantSmithEllis. This is breaking news. We have 2 new indictments, 2 new felony indictments against Aidan Turtleboy Kearney out of Norfolk Superior Court. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my dear word, oh my dear Lord, this news is just breaking. I didn't see an indictment for Karen Reed, but we are keeping an eye, ladies and gentlemen. These are new indictments. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is the worst possible news for Aidan Kearney. More indictments. Will Mr. Kearney now be arrested? We don't know, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know. This is all happening in real time. We're going to have to keep monitoring the docket. Are more indictments going to be handed up? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, does this have anything to do with why Karen Reed's the presentation of evidence in the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial just stopped earlier? Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my dear word. My dear God. My goodness. We are monitoring, ladies and gentlemen. We're checking if any other indictments came up. We're only seeing one today, and it was filed against Aidan Kearney, but we're keeping an eye. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you, Artworks 2. You are a super towel. Well, I didn't give credit to the beach towel. I called you a super towel, and I called you a venerated super towel. God bless you, Artworks 2, dear friend. You are a wonderful, wonderful, venerated reporter. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what? Yeah, so it's 268.13b is WI. It's the witness intimidation statute, but we need to get the indictment. We are trying to get the indictment, folks. We are trying to get the indictment against Aiden Turtleboy Kearney. A new indictment has been handed up. We are trying to actually get the indictment. It probably won't tell us very much, ladies and gentlemen, but here we go. We can try to tune in. Hold on. I don't think you're allowed to actually tune in to a civil session, but let me check it out. Hold on 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, Modelo Macy, I'm keeping a close eye. I'm keeping a close eye on the indictment page, and then we're also going to see if we can see if we are able to see Kearney's hearing. It looks like we're not actually going to be able to watch Aiden Kearney's hearing because there are no updates. There are no updates, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the kind of court hearing that you can watch. It's a civil suit where Aiden sued Lindsay Gattani and Lindsay Gattani is moving to dismiss the suit. And you normally can't watch those kind of proceedings. They don't normally get broadcast. They're civil. It's a civil hearing. But ladies and gentlemen, the new indictments, Aiden could be picked up while he's in court if this is an arrestable offense. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what we really need is the indictment. We really need the indictment. Hold on, I'm going to tell Glare. I just told Glare. I'm going to see if he'll respond. Hold on. I don't even think they know. Hold on. It's real. No, it's real. They don't know it's real yet. Hold on, folks. Yep, they just found out. Oh, they're freaking out. There isn't even coverage of Turtleboy's hearing. They're all just freaking out in the chat. Oh, my word. They are absolutely freaking out. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't even have to watch this. I'm just monitoring it. And I don't even really dislike Claire that much, although we have a lot of differences of opinion. But ladies and gentlemen, oh my dear God, they are freaking out. They are freaking out. They think they may well be right that he's about to get indicted. Oh, ladies, get arrested. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this could be breach of bail conditions. Oh, my word. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm watching them. They're all saying, oh, my God. The Turtleboy fans are freaking out during his own hearing. Oh, my word. These are indictments, too, which means the grand jury. Oh, this is bad. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is bad. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm watching the Turtleboy fans react in real time so you don't have to. They're absolutely freaking out. Oh, wow. Is he about to get arrested? Oh, folks, bear with Little Towel. I'm trying. They can't even get access to the feed. Oh, my goodness, they're freaking out. They just found out that he got charged with new felonies. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, oh my goodness. Stay with Little Towel. I can't even process. We're watching to see if even more indictments come down. Oh my word, ladies and gentlemen. They're like Brandon's losing his mind. I'm not losing my mind. I just can't believe that literally broke in the middle of the day. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, no. Oh, as he walked into court. Ladies and gentlemen, as Aiden Kearney walked into court in Worcester, there's no coverage. Oh, no. There's no coverage of his hearing, and, ladies and gentlemen, he's losing it. Oh, my word. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, this is absolutely incredible. We need to get the, Hold on one second. Oh, my word. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, my word. There, ladies and gentlemen, there's no coverage of Aiden Kearney's hearing. Oh, no. Who is the charge going to be about? It was an indictment, too. Oh, folks, listen, we're going to keep a close eye when these indictments get handed down. We need the actual documents right now. Yeah, listen, Kate Peter can go run around celebrating all she wants, but she literally should not have been, whatever you think of her, she should not have been retained as like a undisclosed private eye in the context of those cases. She's an incredible liability. It's outrageous. It's one of the biggest scandals of these cases, but we're not going to be talking about it right now. Oh my word. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal. Very big deal. Hold on. I'm not actually seeing the Turtle Boy hearing. Stay with Little Towel. Hold on.
The idea of Aiden going to jail really bugs me.
Oh, I know the only clip we heard was Claire saying the idea of Aiden going to jail really bugs me. He does not have the hearing. Folks, there's no feed of Aiden's hearing. It's a 2 p.m. civil hearing. Very rarely, if ever, do you get to cover civil hearings. I cover the courts all the time. Oh, Chris, Aiden Kearney got indicted. Aiden Kearney got indicted 2 more times. Check the feed, folks. Look at our screen. What do you see? Aiden Kearney has been indicted twice more. These indictments were just handed up just minutes ago, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, oh my word. This timing cannot be a coincidence. What's going on? Hold on. What's going on? What's going on, Nima? You, I'm sure, no, there's nothing actually. The Glairer is saying he's streaming it, but there's no actual coverage of the hearing. Don't worry. Marie, I'm watching the Glairer stream. Let me see if we have audio.
He was just being malicious, like he was.
No, all Glairer doesn't actually have the hearing. There's no coverage. Yeah, don't worry, folks. There is no coverage of the Aiden Kearney hearing right now. I don't think there's going to be coverage of it's a civil hearing. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is very intense. Stay with Little Towel. Stay with Little Towel. Stay with Little Towel, friends. This is intense. So Aiden there's no coverage of his hearing, and he just got indicted. Yeah, no, I'm saying I don't see coverage of today's hearing, and I don't think we're going to see it. Ladies and gentlemen, something's going on here. Yeah, no, listen, we need to get copies of the indictment. I'll see if John DePetro's still at the courthouse. Hold on. Stay with Little Towel. Oh, wow. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, what a day. We're trying to get these indictments here, folks. I'm trying to figure out if Aiden Kearney's going to be arrested. Is there an arrest warrant? Hold on. Indictment, so I don't see a warrant to arrest. We're going to keep this very close. Folks, we're literally going to crowdsource this in real time, okay? Stay with Little Towel. We're looking at all the new indictments that just got handed up. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. We don't know what this indictment is about. We can't actually see the indictment. Oh, my word. Ladies and gentlemen, just huge news. Oh, just huge news, folks. Oh, my word. Out of nowhere, folks. Out of nowhere. Just absolutely blew folks away. And now we are going to monitor. Folks, Aiden Kearney has been indicted. Aiden Kearney has been indicted. Oh, my word. Oh, folks, stay very close here as we all keep an eye on this. No coverage of the Aiden hearing yet. We're waiting to find out if Aiden Kearney... Oh, wait, folks, I got the indictment. Hold on, we got it. Claire got the indictment. Thank you. Hold on. We got it. We got the indictment. I'm going to take pictures of it. Hold on. Oh, it's Chris Albert. It was the, hold on. I'm going to find out which charge got indicted. It looks like it's that the first one is Chris Albert. Okay, hold on. We just got this in. It's harder than you think to screenshot that. I'm going to bring it up on your screen now, folks. We just got the indictments against Aiden Kearney. I'm going to have to stitch them together because he didn't, Glare didn't show them right, but that's all right. All right, hold on. Okay, so that's the best you're going to give us. All right, I have it. I have one of them. It's against Chris Albert. Folks, this is a developing situation. Stay with Little Towel. So I saw the first indictment. Now I'm looking at the second one. Hold on. Stay with Little Towel. Oh, no. Claire, do not show the grand juror's name. That's a document you aren't supposed to have. Don't do it, Claire. Don't do it. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I'm waiting to see what the second indictment is. Stay with Little Towel. Stay with Little Towel. Oh, my goodness, Claire, don't do it. Claire almost showed the grand jury for person's name. Oh, my word. Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the indictment against Aiden Kearney. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big deal. I'm about to bring up the image for you. Hold on, I have to stitch it together because it wasn't really put together quite well. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Aiden Kearney has been indicted again. We're monitoring, and there's still no coverage of Aiden's case. Oh, it is. Karen Hill, welcome to the welcome to the honorary towel fold. Now I'm going to try to put this indictment together for you, and then we'll see if we can bring it up on the screen. Oh, yeah, no, there's nothing to watch, Lazy Susan. If you're just tuning in, folks, there's nothing to watch because the Karen Reed hearing was canceled, and then Aiden Turtleboy Kearney's hearing isn't broadcast. It's a civil hearing. He's suing Lindsay Gattani, even though she's a named victim in his open criminal cases. It's a very strange situation that I don't think is going to work out very well for Mr. Kearney, in my opinion. But we'll monitor how all that goes down. But, folks, more importantly, we have the indictment against Aiden Kearney here. I'm going to bring it up on your screen now. Hold on one second. I think there's just a little bit more of the indictment that I want to bring up. Okay, here it is. Here it is, folks. All right. Aiden Kearney has been indicted again. Wow, folks, it's one of those days. And now we'll go back to the Glare, but I don't think the Glare actually has coverage of Aiden Kearney's case, folks. I don't think there's actually coverage of the civil case, but we are going to keep an eye on it. My name is GrantSmithEllis. No, it's Chris Albert. It looks like I'm seeing Chris Albert, folks. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Indeed, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot going on. And there's not even coverage of Aiden's hearing, his civil hearing, which should be over very quickly. But ladies and gentlemen, we are watching. We are monitoring. Oh, God bless your cousin, Jew Drops. It was great to see you. We're going to keep monitoring about Aiden. No more Karen coverage, at least for now. And we will be back, of course, tomorrow morning to see if court actually goes into session. But, folks, I'm going to see if we can get... no, we cannot. It doesn't look like we're going to be able to get... Aiden Kearney's hearing. It looks like there is no coverage of Aiden Kearney's hearing, folks. However, folks, I'm going to do my best. Yes. Oh, goodness, folks. Aiden somehow took the spotlight from Karen, if this is even considered a spotlight. Oh, my word. My name is GrantSmithEllis. Thank you for staying with Little Towel. I am going to do my best, ladies and gentlemen, to get us information in real time about what's going on with Aiden Kearney and what is these new indictments, folks. It is a big, big deal. They just came down. We are monitoring closely. And yes, towel friends, every towel friend is keeping Jew Drops in their mind. all and Dewdrop's cousin. God bless you, dear Dewdrops. You're such a wonderful family member to your cousin. Oh no. Oh, the glarer by accidentally leaked the grand jury's for the four person's name, but you can't actually tell what it is because it's just a squiggle. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Glarer has a bad habit of doing things like this. Sorry, I'm actually piecing together the indictment against Aiden. He didn't show the full document, so I have to piece it together. And it looks like they're both the same charges. Both indictments relate to the same incident. No coverage of Kearney's hearing yet. Hold on, stay with Little Towel.
So let me check Twitter.
Nothing yet, folks. Unfortunately, there is no coverage whatsoever of Aiden Kearney's hearing. Yeah, no, I mean, it's crazy. It's just one cliffhanger after another, none of your business. And even though you have your different opinions about the case, I think that's one thing we all agree on. This stuff is intense all the time. It's just all the time, all intense. It's just, never seen anything like it, folks. I've never seen anything like it in my life, and I don't think we ever will ever again. I think it was a testament to the situation with Karen Reed and Aiden Kearney getting way out of control. Should never have happened. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, just ridiculous situations flying around. Ladies and gentlemen, so much going on so quickly. So much going on so quickly, and Little Towel is here with you to try to cover it all. If we can, we'll sit here, we'll see if we get any coverage of Aiden's hearing. If not, we will just cover the fact that the indictment just came down. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the indictment against Aiden Kearney has just been handed down, and I have the full indictment for you. Give me 1 second, Little Towels, as I put this together into one document. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, here it is. I put together the PDF. Oh, my word, this is very, very bad for Aiden Kearney indeed. A whole new set of two more indictments handed. That means the grand jury found probable cause to indict for felonies. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, bound over from Stoughton Superior Court to Norfolk Superior Court, or from Stoughton District Court to Norfolk Superior Court. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, worst of all worlds. Oh, worst of all worlds. Will Aiden Kearney be picked up? Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen. Will he be picked up on these charges? Time will tell. As Towel friends, we are monitoring closely. We heard earlier, of course. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We don't know if bail's going to be revoked because I need to pull up the date of offense. I'm trying to bring it up for you now. Give me 1 second. I have to upload the PDF. And then I have to upload the image, but I have it for you here. Here it is. Hold on 1 second. GSE Aiden Turtle Boy Kearney, 2 new felony indictments, 5/13/25. All right, got it. So let me just get this uploaded to where it needs to go. Then let me bring the document up for you. And then while we wait to see, we're not going to get coverage of the civil hearing. I'm telling you right now, they don't do that kind of thing. You don't get civil coverage. You don't get civil case access like that. It's just not covered that way. Oh, friends, we even broke the 1,000. We even broke the 1,000 towel mark today. I forgot about that. God bless all of you. That was quite a moment earlier indeed. Yes, ladies and gentlemen. All right, I got the indictment. I know you're all looking forward to seeing it. I promise I won't keep you hanging too much longer. I already told you it is about Chris Albert, but we're going to get the date up on the screen here in just 1 second. In order to do that for you, I simply have to do this, which entails making the link shareable. I guess I could also just drag that PDF, which I might actually do. All right, so there we go. All right, got done with that. Now watch this, Little Towels. Ready, folks? Which screen do I have up? I need to actually look at this. Okay, so I have it up on the Firefox. So let's see if I can just drag this thing. All right, Little Towels. There's the indictment. There it is. I'm going to zoom in, little towels. Give me a second. There is the Aiden Kearney indictment. The dates of the offense were March 4th, ladies and gentlemen. March 4th. But that he was also indicted. But again, remember, the date of offense was March 4th. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, very intense situation here. Very intense. We are monitoring. We are being prescient, attentive, little towels, I assure you. And we, folks, are going to see if we get any coverage of Aiden Kearney's history at all. God bless you, my Mountain View. Thank you for letting me know about the 2.2 thousand over on the Twitter as Aiden Kearney's bail revocation, new indictments get announced. And we are going to keep very close eye, folks. March 4th was the incident at D&E Pizza, wasn't it? That we can confirm. We can confirm for sure, but I think that was the incident at D&E Pizza. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, indicted by a grand jury is not a good sign. That means they're going full bore with the Aiden Kearney prosecution pretty clearly. Oh, wow. Wow, just a stunning series of developments, folks. Stunning in its scope. Well, folks, what do you think? Do you think do we think Aiden Kearney is going to get summons or arrested? They could arrest him, couldn't they? They know he's at Worcester Superior Court, right? So couldn't they just arrest him? All right. Just in here is one of the new indictments handed up against Aiden Turtleboy Kearney today in Norfolk County. Kearney now faces 21 total charges across courts in Massachusetts, including a litany of felonies. Kearney got this news as he walked into court for a civil suit. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, PDF. Ladies and gentlemen, you're even seeing the indictment. It says, Aiden on Norfolk at the Superior Court begun and holding a dedum within and for the County of Norfolk on the second Tuesday of May, 2025. The jurors for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts on their oath present that Aiden Timothy Kearney of Jefferson in the County of Worcester on or about March 4, 2025 at Canton in the County of Norfolk on the second so I put that part twice. Did willfully, directly, or indirectly attempt to cause physical, emotional, or economic injury or to intimidate, harass, or another person, to wit, Christopher Albert, who is a witness or potential witness or is a family member of a witness or potential witness with the intent or with reckless disregard for the fact that it may impede, obstruct, delay, prevent, or otherwise interfere with a criminal investigation at any stage, a grand jury proceeding, a motion hearing, a trial, or other criminal proceeding, or any type in violation of MGL Chapter 268(13)(b). There you go, ladies and gentlemen. There you go. There you go. And let me just see here. I think we can get... where'd it go? All right. Let's see which one I can get rid of here. I think we can get rid of that one and then just make this the bigger part. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what a terrible day for Aiden Kearney. What a day to be a towel. This was Kearney's indictments that were bound over, by the way. This looks to be... these new indictments appear to be charges from Stoughton District Court that are now bound over to Norfolk Superior Court. Whether Kearney was issued a summons to turn himself in or whether Kearney will be arrested remains unclear. For arraignment or whether Kearney will be arrested remains unclear. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, so much happening so fast. Is Aiden Kearney going to be arrested? There's two indictments. Yes, two. I don't know if I haven't gotten both files, but there are two indictments. Two indictments came up, two felonies. technically it might be, I think they are individually handed up indictments and they get one case number. So it's one case number with 2 indictments. And the indictments are for 2 felonies, folks. 2 felonies. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, so much is flying around. There is just chaos. We are probably not going to get coverage of Aiden Turtleboy Kearney's civil hearing, but we absolutely, ladies and gentlemen, will try to get updates if we can. And we, as venerated honorable towels, will do every thing we can. Oh my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, so much going on. I went from talking about the intense stuff with Karen Reed earlier to now this. It is just one thing after another, after another, after another. Oh, goodness. And I almost forgot to send something else. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I please beg Little Towel's forgiveness. Please, I beg your patience here, friends. There is so much going on. I think I will, in 1 second here, try to put on a recap for you of last week. But we're also going to take a look right now to see, yes, this was to do Aiden's indictments apparently were handed up by the grand jury related to the incident in March. Now, ladies and gentlemen, stay with Little Towel. We are watching very, 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 very quickly. So this was the night that was the night Glare and Meredith was crying and they had a fight, and then Aiden went over to D&E Pizza with Glare and it caused just chaos, absolute chaos. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If a judge ever does lock him up, I don't know when he's coming out. He's already on the edge. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have yeah, I don't think he was a CI for a long time. I think he just helped the feds over the summer of 2023, Aiden. But yeah, my word, folks, my word. Just I think all of the players in this case, when they heard that more indictments came down, oh, that's just the worst thing possible, folks. Just the worst thing possible. Now, give Little Towel a second here. Stay with Little Towel. Stay with Little Towel. I have one more important thing to do, and then we'll watch last week's recap, and then we'll see if we can actually get coverage. I doubt, folks, we are going to actually get coverage of this hearing. It's going to be over very quickly. But my name is GrantSmithEllis, as I mentioned. I am a Little Towel, and we, as Little Towels, are monitoring closely. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a lot is going on. A lot is going on. 519 to 523. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, that is done. Now, oh, God bless you, Mandy Strong. There's no, oh! Yes, we did have a towel proposal. Mandy Strong, first, God bless you for your support. And I saw another chat earlier. I'll make sure I go back and say thank you for that. Ladies and gentlemen, oh, I did say thank you for the other one. Ladies and gentlemen, Mandy, if you missed it, there's no court today. There was a health emergency or a health situation that came up at the very last minute involving Karen Reed that caused court to get shut down, completely closed. We'll watch the videos and we can do another recap in just a minute here. But then 2 new felony indictments just got handed down against Aiden Turtleboy Kearney. And now we're monitoring in real time to see what, if any, coverage we can get of Aiden Kearney's civil case. Now, hold on 1 second, Little Towel. Nope, there's no coverage, folks. There is no coverage of Aiden's civil case. And now Aiden has absolutely, it's not that it's new, Amber Am, it's that it got bound over. Well, Rita, you know, I don't know if it necessarily was connected to Karen canceling court, but Karen could just be sick. Karen, it could be very serious. Yes, but I did go to the courthouse, and we obviously have no coverage of the Turtle Boy hearing. But ladies and gentlemen, what we do have is we have. I can do a recap for you of what we saw this morning at the courthouse. If you're just tuning in, none of these videos are very long, but I can give you a recap of what we saw. And by the way, we also beat. No, hold on. None of your business wasn't actually trolling there. They're just saying that we tolerate none of your business. Okay, they don't really troll us. They're on the other side, but they're generally amicable. That they weren't being rude there. They were literally saying it's a nice feeling. It's okay to be friendly to none of your business. If there's an issue, I'll bring it up. But yes, if you missed the courthouse this morning, and hold on, I hope we didn't. Don't ban none of your business either. I would like them to be able to. Hold on. No, they're not. They're fine. I'd like them to be able to contribute, but I'll let you know if it's very serious. Okay, now because none of your business actually defends me on some of the other FKR channels, so let's be friendly, even if we have differences of opinion. I'm glad you're a hemp towel, Wicked Uma. But yes, let's take a look. While we're waiting, we obviously didn't even get coverage of the Aiden Kearney civil, but what did we get coverage of, folks? Well, let's take a look at this. You can see here was the first report, and this morning it came in from Little Towel at about 8:41. Per Towel sources, today's John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial has been canceled entirely. John's thrice orphaned niece and nephew are to take the stand. Towel will be in the courtroom to provide text updates as I can. Hank Brennan arrived, and then court was canceled due to unavoidable circumstances. That's how it went down, folks. And then this was Hank Brennan's arrival. After we got the news, court was closed. Well, Hank Brennan arrived. We got the news, court was closed. Then I posted about it. Then I uploaded this video. Let's take a look at Hank Brennan arriving at court today. You saw it there, folks. You saw Hank Brennan's arrival at court there. And we're going to take a look at what happened over the next little bit. It was intense, friends. Every bit of it was intense. We are going to take a look together. I have all your towel comments up on the screen. I even met Elevate the Process. It was an epic moment, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think the glare will get in trouble because it was more Aiden doing the yelling. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the honorary towel fold. None of your business. Don't remove any comments. You're just an honorary towel, and you must, as people respect your opinion, you must respect others. Plus, I have a log and can see everything, so just enjoy your honorary towel status. What is this sorcery? That made Little Towel laugh. But then, folks, as I mentioned, Hank Brennan actually left the courthouse and came back multiple times after we got news that court was canceled. And if you didn't hear the stream earlier, what happened was Little Towel at 8:30 was with some of his colleagues from Court TV and Canton Community TV, and even Sue O'Connell was there. And ladies and gentlemen, we were in the court clerk's office. All of a sudden, they told us we were ready to get our media badges around 8:33 a.m. A few minutes later, they told us to hold on. And then all of us checked our phone, and we got an email from the court spokesperson, at the SJC spokesperson, at 8:36 a.m. telling us that court had been canceled for the day in the Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial. Oh, it's Claudia Montano. It's against Chris Albert. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, as we're standing there, we get told at 8:36 a.m. that court is canceled. Literally, the O'Keefe family was there on the side of the courthouse. The witnesses, that John O'Keefe's double orphan niece and nephew, were there ready to testify. They were ready to walk into the courthouse. Karen never showed up. Her lawyers never showed up. And then this series of events, ladies and gentlemen, played out between 8:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. in the lead up to a closed-door Zoom hearing. No one knows what happened during that Zoom hearing, ladies and gentlemen. No one knows. But Karen Reed may not have even been on the Zoom. Alan Jackson was in a sweatshirt. And all the reporters were told by the court clerk was that there was a medical issue involving a party to the case. That was it. Ladies and gentlemen, they kicked the reporters out of the Zoom hearing. But let's take a look at Hank Brennan leaving the court for one of the first times that he had very little to say.
Mr. Brennan, you know my court was canceled today.
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr.
Let's watch it again.
Mr. Brennan, you know my court was canceled today.
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Have a good day, guys. Thank you. Sounds like a good man.
Now, for folks who are wondering, what was this all about? We don't know, folks. Now, here was, just saw Mr. Brennan leave. Here was Mr. Brennan arriving just a few, maybe like an hour later. He went back into the courthouse.
Mr. Brennan, can you shed any light on the situation today?
How is everybody?
Good. How are you, sir?
Now take a look at Brennan. This around 9:45, he starts relaying some kind of update to these two people who I think are victims witness advocates, but I don't really know. I don't know who they are. But anyway, he just starts relaying information to them. So something was playing out in real time, folks. Something was playing out in real time. And then, folks, Hank Brennan left again. I didn't catch that one. And then he returned to the courthouse a third time. I caught that one. This was later in the morning.
Mr. Brennan.
He actually went and got lunch. And then around 11 a.m. So when was that post? That was probably 10:30, 9:42. Then around a little bit later, folks, before the 11 a.m. Zoom starts, we got a tweet from Jenna Rocco, a Karen Reed insider, saying, of all things, ladies and gentlemen, that Karen is not doing well. Oh, goodness, ladies and gentlemen. But then Jenna Rocco quickly deletes that post. And then the next thing you know, ladies and gentlemen, Towel is getting pulled in another direction, folks. This is literally all happening at the same time because two people who were, it was Dolly Vision and PJ Vision came up from Virginia. They were in that Jeep. And then the Karen Reed supporters apparently told the state police about them, even though they didn't really do anything. And then the state police started talking to them. Jenna Rocco is Nick Rocco's partner. I don't know if they're married. They might be married, but they're partners, and they both are beauticians. So Nick might do hair, and she might be a beautician. Anyway, they're very into like fashion and style. They're very nice. They've always been very nice to me. I don't have any issues with them. Anyway, Jenna Rocco was the one who said Karen was sick. But this was the interaction between the Stadies and the two people who came up from Virginia. I thought it was a little weird. They were new to the area. I wish they had talked to me. I would have at least got to know them. I don't know them from Adam, but this was the interaction. That was it. Nothing really happened. I turned around, the Stadies left. That was the end of the interaction. But then, just like seconds later, all of a sudden, then I'm like, wait a minute. I'm in the hallway of Norfolk Superior Court. Ladies and gentlemen, the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial courtroom has been closed. Judge Cannoni has started a hearing. The prosecution is in the room. The defense is on Zoom. Media were ejected. We are at sidebar. Ladies and gentlemen, John Hall, who was in the room for the quick Zoom before he got ejected, as the rest of us media were filing in, told us that Alan Jackson said, I'm in a sweatshirt. Judge Cannoni said, that's fine, turn on your camera. Alan Jackson was in a sweatshirt. David Yannetti was in a hotel or an office in a suit, both on Zoom. I don't think Karen Reed was even on the Zoom. And then, ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution was all there in person. Hank Brennan, Adam Lally, Caleb Schillinger, and Laura McLaughlin. That was it. That was the only, and then Judge Cannoni closed the courtroom, and there was a sidebar. That was about, quote, scheduling. And then the court clerk came out and told us that one of the parties in the case was sick or had a medical issue, and that was all that the court clerk could tell us. And there were 6 people in that hallway. ladies and gentlemen. Little Towel was one of the 6 people in that hallway. Something was very off. The vibe was off. It felt ominous. Something was very, very wrong, folks. I tell you, something was very wrong. I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on it. Me, who follows this case very, very closely. It can't have been the Turtle Boy indictments. Folks, something is very, 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 very off. It's just, hold on. The motion to revoke Turtle, wait a minute, hold on. Hold on. Diana Natale, how did Turtle Boy go from Worcester Court to Norfolk Superior Court for an arraignment in 40 minutes? Diana, that can't be right. There is no way that Aiden Kearney got, you want me to check? Okay, hold on. I'm looking at hold on. We can look at it live. Diana Natale said that, how did he get arraigned? What, did they waive his appearance? There's no way he got arraigned that quickly. That's not possible. So hold on. This is, by the way, if you've ever wanted to learn how to use mass courts, this is how to do it. So you go to Superior Court. Oh, wait a minute. I told you to bring that window down, sir. Oh, I did bring it down. It's just a little delayed. Okay, so you go to Superior Court. You go to Norfolk County. Now, we want to check case status. We want to search by case type. We want to look at today's date, all right? Today's date, 5/13. Then we want to scroll down, sort by indictments, click search. This is just the public mass courts. Now, we click the new indictment. No way did he have a bail hearing. No, what are you talking about? No, Diana, I am looking at mass courts right now, and I know how to read what I'm looking at. He has not faced a bail revocation hearing under these indictments, and he couldn't have had a bail hearing. It's impossible because these indictments only got handed up 40 minutes ago. He has not been arraigned. You cannot have a bail hearing until your first appearance. So he's arraigned. There's no way he already got arraigned. I don't believe it. It is impossible that man got from Worcester to Norfolk County in 30 minutes to get arraigned. Just not possible. That's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. I don't know how someone can be so seriously ill that we can't have court today. And then, yes, okay, Diana Natale. Clara may have said that Aiden already faced a bail revocation a few weeks ago. There is no way that I'm telling you, I know this system very well. There is no way that he had a bail revocation hearing within 40 minutes. There was no hearing today. There was a civil hearing in Worcester. The indictments got handed down at 45 or 2 o'clock. We saw them. We went on mass courts. I'm telling you, there has been no arraignment on these indictments. He has not had a bail revocation hearing. I'm telling you, that has not happened. Claire might have been saying, oh, there was a bail revocation in Stoughton District Court, whatever. That was not this. It's a completely different thing. Pamela, God bless you. Jamie H., welcome to the honorary towel fold. Folks, we are watching, we are updating, and I am going to keep you updated. Now, Aiden Kearney did already face a bail revocation. He's faced multiple bail revocations. But, yeah, we just want to double check because, like, I'm from this area. I know relatively, even for a lay towel, none of this is legal advice. I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm interpreting. And I'm telling you that I'm looking at this docket, and he does not have an arraignment date. He has not been arraigned on the new charges. He does need to be arraigned. What we don't know is if he's going to get arraigned or arrested. Now, he can be issued a summons to turn himself in for arraignment, or he can be arrested. If he gets arrested, folks, I mean, that would be intense. Now, folks, I got people. I have different people around. We're trying to get information, trying to find out what is going on. This turned from a update stream about court today to a rapidly developing situation because Aiden Kearney has been indicted on 2 new felony charges that were bound over from Stoughton District Court and are now in Norfolk Superior Court. No, yeah, Aiden Kearney definitely knows about these 2 indictments because I saw the Glare had a copy of the indictment. But if the Glare was not talking about bail revocation in the context of these new indictments, yeah, no, McCartney, he may have said Glare may have said that he's not going to jail or whatever, like he's not getting arrested, but that Glare doesn't know anything. Aiden may have told him I've gotten summons, but until we know that, we're not going to go just based on Glare saying that Aiden's not going to jail. We don't. And Glare thought there was some kind of bail revocation. That did not happen. What did Turtle Boy tweet? What do we got? Melanie has our reporter towel on the ground. Kearney has tweeted about his bail revocation. We have reporter towels who will give us an update. I can also go take a look because I am a towel. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to all the new towels. You saw us break 1,000 towel subscribers earlier, and now we are monitoring closely. No, I'm telling you, there is no bail. He did not face an arraignment. Unless Aiden, there's no way he got to Norfolk Superior Court. Maybe they waived his presence at the arraignment, but then it's not even updated on the docket. I'm telling you, I've never. Yes, but Mandy Strong, these are new charges in the sense that he got charged out of Stoughton District Court with a criminal complaint a few weeks or months ago, and now he's been bound over. This means the charges were taken from a criminal complaint. And then a grand jury found there to be probable cause, so it's called bound over. Yeah, so I'm looking very, very closely, folks, at what Aiden has said, and let's see. He's saying it's not a new. Oh no! Listen. Aiden is saying that they tried to revoke his bail in the past. Whoever said that he had a new bail revocation, that's not right. He has not had a new bail revocation. I'm looking at it now. Aiden is saying that, let's see. So these are both of the indictments. They're both, one is against Colin and one is against Chris Albert. So it's Colin and Chris Albert. Originally, it looked like it was only going to be Chris. Now Colin and Chris Albert. Wow, folks. Colin and Chris Albert indicted. Aiden Kearney indicted due to Colin Albert and Chris Albert. Oh no. And I don't think it is. I don't think, folks. I don't think it is Karen just having the sniffles. All right. Bear with me, little towel. Yep. I'm seeing the indictments. Yep, I'm absolutely seeing the indictments, and I'm not seeing anything beyond that right now. All right, stay with little towel. Is Aiden Kearney going to get it to turn himself in? How is this all going to play out? Now, let's take a look at if anything else has come down, by the way. Oh, no, we just looked. There were no new indictments. It was just those two. All right. Aiden did tweet about it. Thank you so much, Ashtara. Aiden tweeted basically what I had been explaining. These are charges being bound over, but he can say everything's cool. He has to go to the arraignment. The arraignment has not happened yet. This is like, do you remember, folks, when Karen was originally charged in Stoughton District Court, and then later she got arrested again in June of 2022 when her charges were bound over? This is what just happened to Aiden Kearney, folks. Yeah, I have no idea how this is going to play out. Yeah, folks, by the way, if you want to support D&E Pizza, that's something we can all do as Towel Stream. You can call in, I think, and you can tell them you want to donate food, like you want to pay for food to be donated to a local charity. What you're doing is, like, on Friday, if the firefighters need pizza, you can pay D&E to put money in a fund that will be earmarked so that when that charity or firefighter calls in, they don't have to pay for their food. So D&E Pizza in Canton, if you want to support them, that is one way you can do it. But you use a card, obviously. Make sure you pay for the order, and you're not actually ordering anything. You're saying, I'd like to donate to. It's not donating to D&E. It's paying D&E to donate food, or to make food to donate to local nonprofits or the first responders, whoever you want. There's a big list. No, Chris Albert was not indicted. Aiden Kearney was indicted related to Chris Albert and Colin Albert. I inserted the word related to in there. Yes, it's a big deal that Aiden Kearney's indictments relate to Chris and Colin Albert. Those are already named victims. when does he have to go? So that's Diana Natali. We're watching. I don't see an arraignment date posted. Normally what happens is when you get indicted, yeah, that's what I'm wondering, Ed Jobs. Like, are we about to see another indictment? Like, what the hell is this? Like, is Aiden about to be arrested? I'm not really sure what's going on here right now, folks. You know what I mean? This is a very weird situation. And there's no new indictments that have come down in the past few minutes. We're monitoring very closely on the docket. The docket stays open till 4:30. This turned into an impromptu, extra long live stream. We don't have a date for Aiden Kearney's arraignment on these new indictments, but because they got bound over. Oh, that's horrible, Ed Jobs, that they were doing that on Mother's Day of all days. But yes, because Aiden Kearney has just been bound over, folks, this means that yes, indeed, it is likely that he picked up new, no, not likely. He's going back to court for an arraignment. Whether it's by summons or arrest, we don't know. So everyone needs to stay close. Everyone needs to follow closely. Little Towel has people he's trying to figure out things from. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of moving pieces, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of moving pieces. And I will tell you, it was so ironic. As Aiden was getting ready to go into a civil hearing, the indictments come down, and there was no even coverage of the civil hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, big deal. As court 2 days ago at 2, someone said, no, it was supposed to be today. Loggins, Aiden has civil court today. Lindsay Catani is, I think I read them. It's like she's moving to, Aiden sued one of the active named victims in his criminal cases. And the victim is moving, if you actually, if you check the description to this YouTube video, you will see a link about Lindsay Catani. And actually, you know what, folks? Today would be a great day to keep Lindsay Catani in your mind, because that's what the hearing was about. Aiden civilly sued Lindsay Catani, and she was moving to dismiss, and there were oral arguments, I think, or something today, just an hour ago. No coverage of that at all. Modelo Macy, I think Turtle Boy brings in a decent amount of money. I would not be surprised if he makes $50,000 a month or more. So, oh, Loggins, it's so great to have you with us, dear friend. You are now an honorary towel. And by the way, folks, it's not that I'm off the screen for you. It's that I need to keep as many computer resources available right now for us to monitor all this as possible. And running my camera takes up like 7% of my CPU usage. And I'm going to use that to instead monitor these dockets for you. Now, folks, we can also, if you're just getting caught up and you want to get updated on the Karen Reed situation, because we're flying around to multiple different things here. If you want to get caught up on just the Karen Reed situation, we were taking a look at Little Towel, observing the interaction between Dolly Vision and PJ Vision and the state police, which wasn't anything. They were just talked to. The Karen Reed supporters said something about them. The state police went over. There was a chat. Everybody walked away. Nothing actually happened. They just talked. But then, as I mentioned, the Zoom hearing happened, and then this was Mr. Hank Brennan. There was only one person who was able to follow all of this. I was the one who was actually able to stand outside court. I knew Brennan was going to be coming out to end the day, and this is what Hank Brennan had to say to Little Towel. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. Notice how they don't actually have to worry about Brennan when he's just walking by me. They're like, oh yeah, he'll be fine. And then eventually the trooper comes over and is like, hi, Mr. Brennan, I'm here to walk with you, sir. And then Brennan was like, yeah, well, there was no one there but Grant. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, so much going on. So many things developing rapidly. No coverage at all of the Aiden Kearney hearing, as I mentioned. But we are monitoring closely. Oh, yeah, no coverage of the Aiden hearing at all. They moved on. Ladies and gentlemen, I will try to get us some updates. I promise you. I will try to get us some updates as soon as I can regarding the Aiden situation. For now, folks, how about we watch yesterday's recap, all right? Let's get caught up on yesterday's Karen Reed trial. You just saw what happened this morning. By the way, folks, I don't know if you saw the news. Christina Towell, the venerated Christina Towell herself, managed to figure out what was actually going on yesterday during Alan Jackson's Cross. We missed it, ladies and gentlemen. It was actually this still frame Oh, Brooke, you're so kind. You're all like, I'm so jealous you got to say enjoy the nice weather to Hank Brennan. Now, listen, Hank Brennan and I have never talked. I have no intention of talking to him. The only interactions we've ever had, one time I was at the base of the courthouse stairs. He walked down. Somebody else asked him a question or something, and he just said it like, it's a nice day or something. And then today I got to film Mr. Brennan 3 times. We didn't actually say anything other than enjoy the nice weather, to which Mr. Brennan said, you too. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, look at all these people. I should have said, Mr. Brennan, all the towels love you. I think he would, if I yelled out, Mr. Brennan, all the towels love you, he would have looked at me very quizzically. But then also I was talking to the state police trooper at one point, and he was like, Grant, it's so good to see you. And I was like, oh, hi, trooper, because we have to check in the buffer zone because only media can film in the buffer zone. So he's like, Grant, good to see you. And I was like, yes, yes. And he was like, what have you been doing? And I was like, oh, I've been YouTube streaming. He was like, oh, that's good. And I was like, yeah, the people call me a towel now. And he just smiled. Oh, kiddies, welcome. Welcome. Yes, so you know what? After the trial, since I've never talked to Mr. Brennan, I don't have any intention of talking to him during the trial. After the trial, maybe once appeals are exhausted, depending on how it all works, I like Marjorie Egan, my dear friend, who I have known for a long time, along with Jim Browdy. Like Marjorie Egan interviewed Hank Brennan after the Whitey Bulger trial, Towel is the person to interview Hank Brennan after this trial. And you might be saying, so why would Hank Brennan do an interview with a man who's showing a picture of Chewbacca and a hidden Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Oh, wait a minute. Folks, none your business has just put it together. That is not actually Chewbacca. None your business. That is Chloe in a wig. How do you think we smuggled Chloe halfway to Fiji? Do you think you can just take a giant female dog named Chloe and get it away from Alan Jackson? No, absolutely not. The only reason we were able to pull that off is because we hid Chloe in a Chewbacca costume. Now listen, I know some of you are going to say, sir, there is no way that you hid that dog in a Chewbacca costume and managed to get it away from Alan Jackson. And to that I say, yes, we did, ladies and gentlemen, and I can prove it. Watch, I will prove it for you right now. We have mastered, Christina Towel in particular, has simply become a master, ladies and gentlemen. Look at this. Yes, lady. Oh, that's the same one as before. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, that's a motion. This is the only stream where you see court motions and Chewbacca. Ladies and gentlemen, look at that. It is Chewbacca. The FKR Wiccans got Chewbacca and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. Chewbacca and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man even escaped from the courthouse on a paper plane. Oh, by the way, that's Reporter Towel Christina and Little Towel. Aren't we adorable? I feel like we're going to cause problems now. We've had proposals, all this stuff. Everybody can love Little Towel equally. Little Towel is meant for all of you. Don't worry. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I forgot about this. How could we forget when Chewbacca and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man got caught by David Yanetti's spaghetti? Oh, my word, ladies and gentlemen, that was such an intense moment. But, folks, listen, let me just tell you, it gets even better because did you know that when Alan Jackson tried to call the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to the stand, by the way, I did not bring up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, okay? Alan Jackson brought up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Let me come back on your screen for this. I want to show my incredulity about this. None your business. I'm glad you're into Wiccans. None your business. We respect all different love interests here, and you can be into Wiccans and witches. More power to you. Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something to you, though. When Alan Jackson tried to call the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to the stand, he actually brought the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man up. Chewbacca said, no, I will defend the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. And ladies and gentlemen, as None Your Business has explained, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is not defending Chewbacca, the Wookiee. That is actually Chloe the dog in a wig. Now, before we move on to yesterday's recap, I must show you, I must defend my honor as a towel. And you might say, sir, what does that mean? Well, I'm going to show you. I must defend my honor as a towel, and I must prove to you that Alan Jackson brought up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in this trial. And you can say, ladies and gentlemen, you can say all you want that Alan Jackson would never bring up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in a criminal trial. But let me just be the first person to tell you that, yes, Alan Jackson brought up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Yes, I have video proof. And yes, I am going to show it to you now. And you will never again be able to say, wow, Grant is just trying to mock Alan Jackson. Clearly, Alan Jackson didn't bring up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. No, folks. Listen to this clip. You must learn to understand that I can only be sardonic if Alan Jackson does ridiculous things.
Not to get too colloquial, but a puffy coat is like, it's got down and stuff in it, right?
Correct.
Looks kind of like Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
John Mike, Karen Reed's taillight was broken to the point where it shattered the exterior housing. Do you know how hard you probably have to make contact with a human elbow? You have to be traveling 24.2 miles an hour in reverse with a blood alcohol level of between 0.14 and 0.28, which is 2 to 4 times the legal limit, and crash into someone, probably hitting their elbow, to shatter a taillight like that. The bulb just shattering the taillight housing into all those pieces, folks. That, with John O'Keefe's DNA found on Karen's bumper. A bumper she maybe tried to wipe down. Oh, yeah, I mean, I know. That was, listen, DJ, I fully support your executive decision there, but I'm always happy to debunk an FKR person. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you missed it there, that was towel proof that it was not me that brought up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial. You can blame Little Towel all you want. It was not me. All right, now, folks, while we're waiting to get updates, because Towel's got friends, I tell you, Towel's got friends. While we're waiting to get updates about the ongoing situation involving Aiden Turtleboy Kearney, let us watch a recap of yesterday's Karen Reed and John O'Keefe trial. Why? Because now we have to start again tomorrow. So this recap that was supposed to help you prepare for today is now going to be useful for preparing you for tomorrow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look. First of all, I heard there's a clip where Karen Reed got caught staring directly at Hank Brennan, and Hank Brennan stared back. Let's take a look.
And any piece of tail light to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer.
Oh, he really did break stride and look right at her. Oh, this is a great clip. Who found this? Hey, don't cover the YouTube address. Thank you for citing me, though. But, no, I don't care. Truth over bias. Thank you so much.
And any piece of tail light to Chief Berkowitz.
Oh, are you seeing that? Look at Karen staring at Hank Brennan. Look at him pause.
Tail light to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer for that matter.
No.
The entire time you were there, did he hand any piece of tail light to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer for that?
Oh, he stared her down. He stared her down. Oh, yes, and friends, don't worry if you maybe, sometimes need to talk it out with each other or through misunderstanding. Everyone's a towel friend here. It's a very pleasant atmosphere defined by camaraderie, and just assume good faith until we have reason to believe otherwise, towel friends. But yes, beyond just the Chewbacca update, let us watch yesterday's recap. Folks, let us watch it as Little Towel gets you more updates about Aiden Kearney. You watch You watch this recap of yesterday. Let's get ready to go into tomorrow. If we even have testimony tomorrow, Karen Reed's health potentially caused the trial to have to come to a screeching halt. Has Karen Reed gone into the hospital? Was this a 24-hour emergency? We will find out in time. For now, let's watch the recap. God bless Alley 90211. We do try to keep the vibes pleasant and based on universal love and unconditional compassion, and also towels and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Chewbacca. Let's watch the recap. Hello, towel friends. My name is GrantSmithEllis. It's just about 4:30 p.m. on May 12, 2025. And Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial, I have wonderful news. Alan Jackson finally ended his 14-hour cross. Yes, Alan Jackson spoke for 14 hours without saying much of anything, and it's finally over. Ladies and gentlemen, my word, Hank Brennan managed to say more in 2 hours on redirect than Alan Jackson said in 14 hours. The entire American trial-watching public began to lose their minds, ladies and gentlemen. I am surprised that half of us are still going, if not for Alan Jackson somehow bringing up the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and potentially trying to blame a dog named Chloe in a wig who looks like Chewbacca. I don't think any of us would have made it through the trial. But ladies and gentlemen, we got through day 14. It's finally over. Now, if you're just getting caught up, we're going to take a look. There wasn't much of anything that happened. Alan Jackson went in circles for hours. At one point, it was even reported, ladies and gentlemen, that Alan Jackson pulled up this screenshot and told, I'm being sardonic, Alan Jackson did not actually bring this screenshot up, but he may as well have. He spent hours on this screenshot, and one of the reporter towels in Towel Stream named Christina indicated Chewbacca may have even been in the parking lot that Alan Jackson was talking about while making no sense. Yes, it may well be a record for one of the longest cross-examinations, the most gratuitous, the most bloviator-based, the most nonsensical-based cross-examination any of the towels have ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. My word, I cannot put it into words, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's take a look at Hank Brennan's arrival today at court. That'll show up on your screen right below the wonderful towel comments. Oh, hold on. I was yelling during the video, so I'm going to turn the volume down. Apparently, Towel likes to yell. That does not surprise me, ladies and gentlemen. I am a towel. Oh, there's Hank Brennan walking into court, strolling like a Hank Brennan. Yes, Hank Brennan is a verb now, ladies and gentlemen. Hank Brennan is a verb. You can walk cool, calm, confident, and collected and become a Hank Brennan. God bless you, Drew Drops. You even joined in the recap. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Karen Reed also arrived in court. That was not really as important, but we can take a look at it. Very little really happened. I think Karen walked up behind her lawyers. We'll take a look. Yes, there's Karen, or there are her lawyers. Where's Karen? Please play the. There's Karen, walking slowly like a Karen. I don't know if a Karen is a verb. We're not using it pejoratively. She is just a Karen. Not that kind of Karen. She's literally named Karen Reed, ladies and gentlemen. What do you want from me? Not that much happened today. All right, then, ladies and gentlemen, we eventually came into session, and one of the first things that we saw was that there was 3 motions submitted. One, the Aruba incident. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been watching Towel Stream, you know the Aruba incident is a huge deal because Karen Reed on December 31st, 2021, just a few weeks before John's death, saw John hug a family friend named Marietta Sullivan in the hallway of a resort. Karen then, a few days later, on January 5th, apologized to Marietta Sullivan's sister, Laura Sullivan, and said that Karen just mistook John hugging his dear family friend who called John Godfather in the hallway. And Karen tried to pay for the woman's room and things like that. Ladies and gentlemen, 2 weeks later, on January 12th, 2022, Karen Reed started up an affair with John's friend and lied to John's friend. Said to John's friend that John had cheated on Karen in Aruba on December 31st, when John had done no such thing and Karen had previously admitted that. And ladies and gentlemen, John's friend ended that affair after he realized Karen was only using John's friend to torment John as John and Karen's relationship broke down. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why this motion to bring in the Aruba incident was such a big deal. Let's take a look at how it went.
On these, I've had a chance to read them. So, Mr. Brennan, I'll hear you. Let's today focus on the Bowden ones. We can focus on the other one later.
My motion memorandum on Bowden just iterates my objections continuously at sidebar that not all evidence is admissible, characterization of evidence is not admissible, and the defense should should have the ability and intention to follow up with substantive proof if they're going to act.
Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen. So I will follow up here. We'll do this first, actually. So the Aruba motion did not actually get argued. Judge Cannoni delayed it a little bit, but I can show you the Aruba motion, ladies and gentlemen, because we have it saved. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I know where we can find it. Now, the Aruba motion in particular has to do with, as I just explained, the information about coming in as to the incident on December 31st, 2021. Now, the motion that you just heard argued related to Karen Reed attempting to get around Judge Cannoni's prior ruling on not raising a third-party culprit. We're going to see Reed eventually, Hank Brennan wins that motion, Reed loses after a voir dire later in the day. But first, ladies and gentlemen, let us take a look from venerated reporter towel Christina Rex, who is not venerated reporter towel Christina. These are two different people. Christina Rex, of course, is a venerated reporter towel for WBZ, who also goes to New England Law. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, there you can see the motion from the Commonwealth to introduce evidence of the Aruba trip. And for those of you who might just be tuning in and not familiar with what this means, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to watch during this recap just to explain to those who are looking forward to what could be coming in during this week just how bad the Aruba trip is for Karen. But before we do that, let's go right into that, because the Aruba trip was one of the biggest moments of we'll pause. The Aruba trip was a big moment of the day, but let's jump forward to the Bowden motion, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it a little bit earlier before we talked about the Aruba motion, which we're going to close the recap with. Let's watch what happened after the voir dire when Alan Jackson and Hank Brennan's dueling motions on the Bowden information was ruled on. Alan Jackson loses.
So, Mr. Jackson, I've considered your argument, and this is simply the wrong witness, so I'm not permitting that line of testimony.
Even for the single request that I made sidebar.
For that, so.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. Alan Jackson lost his motion. Now, we are going to look, we did just look at the Aruba motion, and ladies and gentlemen, the Aruba motion, all it says, Hank Brennan had initially called Laura and Marietta Sullivan on his witness list, but wasn't going to bring up the Aruba incident in his case in chief. He announced this previously. However, the defense opened the door yesterday by trying to present Karen's text to Higgins out of context, and the defense tried to make it look like Karen was being honest about John cheating on December 31st when John never cheated in Aruba. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, Hank Brennan has now motioned the court to bring in the Aruba incident to counter what the defense tried to present yesterday. And we are going to watch, ladies and gentlemen, because I will say not very much happened. Ladies and gentlemen, not very much happened during the rest of the day. So we're going to close on the Aruba motion. But there was one incident, there was one important moment that did happen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got testimony from a state police officer, and there's going to be more information coming from Ring. But let's listen to this testimony. This is testimony from a state police officer. I think it was on Hank Brennan's redirect after Alan Jackson's cross finally ended, where Hank Brennan elicited testimony that Karen Reed was on her laptop in the operative hours between 2 and 4 p.m. on 1/29/2022. Now, why is that relevant? Well, here's why. Ladies and gentlemen, there were 18 Ring videos on John O'Keefe's home system between 12:37 a.m. when Karen got back to John's house after allegedly striking John at 12:32 a.m. and 7 and 16 seconds, and then driving back to John's house. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, there are 17 missing Ring videos between 12:37 a.m. and 5:08 a.m. that day, okay? Only one video was left at 5:08 a.m. of Karen staging a bump into John's car to create pretextual and false reasonable doubt about why Karen's taillight was broken when it was clearly broken before Karen got to John's house at 12:37 a.m., etc. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's another Ring video deleted beyond those 17 damning videos that would have been devastating to Karen's defense. And that video was deleted after 12 p.m. It was a video of Karen and her parents after Karen was sent to the hospital after confessing at the scene to hitting John with her car, and then her parents sent her to the hospital for making threats of self-harm, where blood was taken at 9:03 9:03 or 9:06 a.m. And then the blood results came back at 9:53 a.m. with her, Karen, having a .093, which was above the limit, legal limit even after 9 a.m. and a retrograde blood alcohol level. Serum conversion indicated Karen's BAC conservatively at the time around when she struck John was 0.14 to 0.28, which is 2 to 4 times the legal limit. Karen made threats of self-harm. Her parents had her sectioned. As I mentioned, she leaves the hospital after noontime, goes with her father, her brother Nathan, and her sister-in-law, who's Caitlin Bordeaux, all on the state's witness list. They go back to John's house. They collect the murder weapon, the alleged murder weapon, and they bring it back to Karen's parents' house in Dighton. Now, listen, the key thing is there's a video there missing of Karen and her brother and her father and her sister-in-law leaving John's home with that SUV. Now, that means the deletions probably occurred in the window between when Karen got back to Dighton in a blizzard with her father and brother and sister-in-law around 2 p.m. and when the state police arrived at Karen's home to serve a warrant on her phone and her car and collect the car with the broken taillight at 4:12 p.m. that day. Now, listen to this testimony where you are going to hear a state police sergeant talk about how when he came to conduct serve those search warrants on the phone and the car and talk to Karen, she was casually, stoically sitting on her laptop. Let's listen, ladies and gentlemen and fellow towels. It was an important moment.
She was calm, stoic. She was sitting on the couch with a pillow on her lap, a laptop to her left. She was, I guess, maybe poised when she was answering our questions.
When you finished your conversation with the defendant, had anybody in that home ever mentioned the idea of whether or not John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview that night?
No.
When you went outside to get in your truck and follow the...
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it right there. You heard it. Karen was on her laptop. That was the window. The Ring experts are on the state's witness list and expected. The Ring keeper of records, not an expert, a Ring keeper of records is on the state's witness list. Didn't testify during the first trial. What do those records show? They're more detailed than you would get in a police investigation because once you subpoena Ring to bring documents to a trial, it's a more stringent form of court order. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, what surprises are coming yet? And then, ladies and gentlemen, here was the confirmation that Karen Reed and John O'Keefe got into an argument, and the state police were aware of it in the moments before John's death.
Jurors, this is an offer for the truth that's contained in the statement, simply to show that this information is provided to the police.
The defendant made a statement questioning whether Mr. O'Keefe was still alive.
And anything about the nature of their disagreement?
Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant got into an argument.
So for the same purpose.
As you're learning this information, does it in any way shape your continued investigation?
Yes, it further supports witness statements. It further supports and corroborates information that we're learning. The more information we collect, the stronger the case becomes.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That was one of the big moments. And now, folks, we must watch the Aruba incident. You saw the motion. I'm going to bring it up on your screen. Or I already brought it up on your screen earlier. I will share the motion as well on my Twitter feed once we're done with the day. The Aruba motion. And you might be saying, okay, the Aruba motion, why is this such a big deal? Why is everyone freaking out about Aruba coming in when Hank Brennan didn't initially want to play or bring up Aruba? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Karen Reed defense walked right into it. And we, to close our recap, are going to look at why that Aruba testimony, which Hank Brennan has now motioned to bring in and which that motion will be approved. It was approved during the first trial. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at the testimony from Marietta Sullivan. Let's take a moment, by the way, to note that today's stream is in honor of my dear father, Frederick Ellis, who passed away overnight from cancer, as well as Crime Cricket's mother, who passed away this weekend. So we'll speak more about that at the end of the recap, but that just went past the Twitter thread, and I saw that there was hundreds of you who left supportive comments, even David Yannetti himself, who I think might have either worked with my dad or my mom or both. in the Middlesex DA's office so many years ago. Even David Yannetti had words of condolences for Little Towel. And I'll tell you, folks, if that doesn't bring a tear to your eye, a showing that all of the sides of this case, in some sense, have universal humanity and compassion, I don't know what will, folks. I don't know what will. I didn't know it would take Little Towel's father passing for people on all sides to show that, but Towel is, I suppose, pleased in a bittersweet way that you all took that time to do that, and that it was this moment that brought so many of your so much of your shared humanity out. That has a very profound impact on Little Towel. But let us continue. We're going to watch the build-up, folks. We're going to watch the testimony that we know is coming from Marietta Sullivan now that Hank Brennan has submitted his motion. And this was the testimony from the first trial, May 22nd, 2024. Let's watch it, Towel friends. This is the end of the recap. We know it's going to be bad for Karen, and Hank Brennan, with the bombshell motion, it hasn't been ruled on, to bring in this testimony for the retrial, Karen Reed's own doing. Let's watch it together. My name's GrantSmithEllis. This is the part of the recap for day 14. Because of Hank Brennan's motion to bring in this testimony. This is the Marietta Sullivan testifying during Karen's first trial. Hank Brennan wants to bring in this testimony for the second trial. And it's bad news bears for Karen Reed.
So the elevator gets sent down to the lobby. You walk out with anyone you see when you come out.
So when the elevator opens up, the first person I saw was the attendant standing behind the desk. I didn't see anybody else in the lobby with me until I stepped out. When I stepped out, I looked to my left and I saw Johnny coming in through the first set of outside doors.
Now, as far as Mr. O'Keefe was concerned, was there any other sort of term that you would use to refer to him?
Johnny or Godfather.
And, Your Honor, I think this may be appropriate.
All right. So folks, I'm going to say again that first instruction I gave you with the last witness, that you're about to hear testimony about certain conduct or behavior allegedly committed by the defendant. Ms. Reed is not charged with committing any crimes other than those charged within the indictment. So this witness's testimony may not and must not be considered by you as any evidence that the defendant has a bad character or as evidence that she may have a propensity to commit the crimes with which she's been charged. You may not take the defendant's prior acts that you'll hear about as a substitute for proof that the defendant committed the crimes charged here. But you may consider the act solely on the limited issue of the defendant's state of mind and the nature of her relationship with John O'Keefe as it might go to motive or intent. You may not consider this evidence for any other purpose. Specifically, you may not use it to conclude that if the defendant committed these acts, that she must also have committed the offenses with which she's been charged. You can only use the evidence for the limited purpose of how it goes to the defendant's state of mind, motive, and the nature of her relationship with John O'Keefe. And for the same findings that I made at sidebar. Yes.
So you walk out of the elevator, you're by yourself, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And you see Mr. O'Keefe. Could you see where Mr. O'Keefe was in relation to the lobby or where he was coming from?
He was coming from the outside doors into the lobby.
Is that where the pool bar is located?
Opposite side.
Opposite.
Yes.
And when you see him come in, who, if anyone, do you see with him initially?
Nobody with him.
And what, if anything, was he doing, or how was he acting sort of when he came?
So he sort of stumbled in. I came out of the elevator and my initial response to him was, "Whoa, you okay?" I actually said, "Whoa, Godfather, are you okay?" But yeah, he was stumbling into the lobby.
And did you go over to him at that point?
I did. I went up to him and I gave him a hug.
And what happened then?
I pulled back. He was glassy-eyed, looking above me. We never made eye contact. He was looking above me. It looked like he was looking for someone. I asked him, "Where are you going?" assuming that he would be coming to the pool bar to meet us. He kept looking around and he indicated that he was going that way and pointed toward a bank of rooms to our right. And I said, "Well, you should go that way." And I stepped back and I guided him toward the area that he was going.
Now, as far as the bank of rooms to the right, you indicated that you were familiar or aware of where Mr. O'Keefe was and where the children were. Is that correct?
I know they were on the first floor. I'm not 100% positive as to where exactly their rooms were.
And if you know, did you know whether or not that Mr. O'Keefe was staying in the same room as Patrick and Kaylee at that point?
I didn't know if they were staying in the same room or not, no.
So you point him in that direction, and what happened?
So I pointed in that direction. He walked off. I continued out to the pool bar when I heard very loudly his name screamed across the lobby very angrily, and it made me stop in my tracks.
And when you stop in your tracks, what happened?
I started to turn around to come back in. So once you go out to the pool bar, you kind of go around a corner and you go out of view. So I turned around to go back in. As I'm going back in, I hear someone yell, "Who the fuck was that?" And as I come around the corner, I see Mr. O'Keefe walking toward a woman. And he said, excuse me. He said, "Calm down, that's Laura's little sister."
And what happened then?
When I came back around the corner, I said, after Mr. O'Keefe said, "Calm down, that's Laura's little sister," I said, "Hi, nice to meet you." That's when Miss Reed's head snapped up, and she very loudly told me to go fuck myself across the lobby. And I said, "Yeah, fuck you too," and walked away.
And just to be clear, when you say Miss Reed, this is someone that you became familiar with as the trip went along?
This was my first interaction with her. I had never been fully introduced to her at all. I just had seen her sitting by the side of the pool when I had been talking to Johnny earlier in the day.
And the person you know to be Miss Reed, do you see her in the courtroom today?
I do.
Could you just describe as to where she's seated or an article of clothing that she's wearing?
Sure. She's in a black and white checkered blazer. She's 2 people in from you.
Just ask the record to reflect identification defended by the witness.
Yes.
Thank you. As far as Ms. Reed was concerned, what, if anything, did you observe as far as the defendants beyond the yelling? What, if anything, did you observe as far as her demeanor or how she was acting at the time that this interaction was going on?
She was just very loud. She very, energetically screamed for me to go fuck myself. She was waving her hands. Johnny was trying to calm her down. And after I said, "Yeah, fuck you too," I went out to the pool bar, so I didn't see much after that.
And could you hear anything as far as when you were walking out to the pool bar, as far as any other conversation between the defendant and Mr. O'Keefe?
Not after that first time, no.
You go back to you go out to the pool bar, and who, if anyone, did you talk to?
I went straight up to my older sister, Laura, who was out to dinner with the couple the night before. And I said,
I'll allow this part.
I went up to her and I looked at her and I said, "John O'Keefe's girlfriend?" And she looked at me and said, "Karen?" And I said, "Yeah, you guys like her?" She said, "Yeah, she's okay." And I said, "Well, she sucks."
Now, following that...
All right, folks, now we're going to learn. You just heard there, that was the Aruba incident. That's coming in. We're not going to watch Laura Sullivan's testimony, too, because we've just had an update from Murder by Maestro about Karen's vehicle data. Folks, my name is GrantSmithEllis, and if you're wondering what's going on, Aiden Turtleboy Kearney has been indicted. 2 of his charges were bound over by a grand jury, and he has now been indicted on 2 felony charges that were previously out of Stoughton District Court, now bound over in Norfolk Superior Court. Ladies and gentlemen, very intense moments. And also Karen Reed's the court trial for the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed case was canceled entirely today. My name is GrantSmithEllis. It had to do with a health issue involving Karen Reed. We had the opportunity to see Hank Brennan walking in and out of the court 3 times on towel feed. If you're just getting caught up, here was the last moment Hank Brennan left after the shocking Zoom hearing in which all the media was excluded from the court. David Yannetti appeared on Zoom. Alan Jackson appeared on Zoom in a sweatshirt, and all the prosecution was in the court. We don't know what happened. It was about scheduling, and then the media, 6 of us, were told that someone had a health issue related to the case. It was reported by Jenna Rocco that it was Karen Reed. Here's what Hank Brennan had to say leaving court to Little Towel. Apparently, people were very, very, I don't know the word, they were overwhelmed, and they said they wouldn't have been able to talk to Hank Brennan because they would have fainted. It wasn't really like that. He's just a regular man, but he's very smart. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. There you go, folks. That was Hank Brennan leaving court after the shock Zoom hearing. Now, Murder by Maestro has sent Little Towel something for us to look at. I'm going to bring that up on Little Towel's screen now, and then I'm going to bring it over to your screen. So here we go. Give Little Towel a second. Little Towel is going to go over here. Yes, indeed. Little Towel is going to go to right here. Little Towel is going to grab this from Murder by Maestro. Oh, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Murder by Maestro, one of the greatest of all towels. Let's take a look at this vehicle data. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Murder by Maestro is such an efficient towel, and yes, I had even liked that post. I'm pretty sure I quoted it at the time, too. Oh, yes, look at this vehicle data. The most crucial point in all of the car data from Karen Reed's Lexus, heavily underused by Prosecutor Lally. One simple number, 0.06. A measurable slowing down of the vehicle. Something slowed Karen Reed's car down. Something was hit. That something was approximately 100 to 300 pounds. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the vehicle data from the moment of impact. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the vehicle data. Murder by Maestro found it for us, folks. This is it. Hi, Sema. Sema, there's so much chaos. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know Sema, Sema is the person that we started our towel-based empire. Sema was the person who we're going to teach Spanish to. Sema's going to go to Latin America. She's going to do Christian missionary work and at the same time facilitate sustainable towel production in Mexico, where we pay the workers $40 an hour so that towel can create an empire, have benevolent influence over the government, protect the petrodollar, ward off the rise of the BRICS, and then peacefully invade northern France so we can rename it Norman Towel. Okay? So if you're just wondering, that's who Sema is. And you know what? We can even make Sema an honorary towel, ladies and gentlemen. Did you just call Hank a regular man? Well, yes, someone said that it was overwhelming to be in Hank Brennan's presence. And I don't know, I've been in the presence of, I don't know how to explain this. There are some people who, when you are in their presence, they are larger than life. Bill O'Reilly's a good example. President Trump's a good example. You know what I mean? The Senate president in Massachusetts. There are just some people that you meet and you just know that those human beings, they don't have to say anything. They give off this gravitas like they are larger than life. Hank Brennan does not exude a paternalistic, larger than life gravitas, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? Hank Brennan is a brilliant legal mind, but I don't know how to. He doesn't I wouldn't call him famous, and he doesn't carry himself that way. There's no vacuity to his presence, and there's also not this overwhelming aura of he is walking on air. I don't know how to explain it. He's very confident. He's very smart. He's very down to earth. He doesn't think too highly of himself, I guess. He doesn't really have an ego. I think he's perplexed by the fact that he has to have security to walk him out of the court. That's what I mean by when I say Hank Brennan's a regular man. I'm not degrading him. I think I'm a regular man, I'm just a towel. But I think there's a mark of greatness to that. But he definitely doesn't exude it. And if he did, it would be the dynamic would be very weird. Because I think that, yeah, it's stoic. It would be below his emotional or his intellectual or whatever intelligence to be famous. It's such a gratuitous and vacuous form of notoriety. I would get the sense Hank Brennan would look down on fame. So yeah, that's what I mean. He's just a very down to earth, relaxed, stoic person. Yeah, Hank Brennan is a humble gem of a person. And yeah, I don't know, he's polite and he's very classy and he's a diplomat, and he's someone who you would send into a room to accomplish a complex negotiation, because he just demands respect, but not in a domineering way. That's how I'd explain it. Hold on, getting updates. Hold on, trying to get updates for you. We're going to watch this vehicle data, by the way. What was I just going on about there? Oh, yeah, no, there's no vacuity. Vacuous means like you're lacking intellectual rigor. There is nothing vacuous about Hank Brennan. Like, that is a brilliant human being, but he's not condescending or paternalistic, or he doesn't really look down on people, so he doesn't give off this aura of larger than life. Hold on, I'm getting updates. Towel had a reporter in court. Hold on, Towel had someone from Towel News. Hold on, we're trying to figure out what went happen. But anyway, this is the vehicle data. Now, murder by maestro. As Towel gets an update, can you explain to people a little bit more about this vehicle data? Because I'm going to pull up the testimony from the first trial that murder by maestro said could have been a little better. And we're going to talk about why the data murder by maestro presented and the Karen's car hit at the moment of impact, right? Hold on. Hold on. Little Towels. Towel is locating, as we speak, Towel is locating the testimony from the first trial. And then we're going to watch that. Now, Murder by Maestro is much more intelligent than I about vehicle data. And I know he doesn't want to give away too much, but very intelligent. Now, let me continue right now. I'm going to look for this this vehicle data. And then I'm also getting an update for you all. Like, I have people around the Commonwealth. This is so difficult. I'm monitoring so many different things at once. Stay with Little Towel. We are going to process all of this. And in particular, we are going to look at Karen Reed's car data. That's the most important thing that I want to look at. We're going to look at that trial from the first day. Now, we're going to, in particular, get the testimony about the vehicle data. So, where was that testimony? Where was that testimony? By the way, you want to see something first? Did you know that Karen Reed's car is capable of backing up to 24.2 miles an hour? And I want to show this up on the screen now, because I don't know if you folks, we're going to watch the vehicle data testimony, but I don't know if you folks have actually seen the proof that Karen's exact car is capable of backing up to 24.2 miles an hour. Now let's watch this together, Little Towels. Okay, let's watch it right here, and you'll see it in real time. There you go, folks. That's Karen Reed's exact car backing up to 24.2 miles an hour. Now let's look at the vehicle data itself from the first trial. Now we know we have tester. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I got it. So let's look. 75% accelerator, and then the exact moment of impact. I have two pieces of testimony we can watch here related to this vehicle data. This took place on day 25 of Karen Reed's first trial, which was June 14, 2024. So let's listen to this.
Significance you observe in this portion of the days. We just direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, significance you observe in this portion of the days.
Yeah, so I circled in here the drop from 24.2 to 23.6, and also the steering wheel signal went from a left at 4.5 to a right 4.5, so positive to a negative. And also the same thing with the solar opening ratio, kind of stays consistently at 74%.
So, folks, 74%. You're watching the vehicle data we're going to see. Now, let's look at the second part of the testimony. This is even more testimony.
Again, if you could, using the laser pointer, let me ask you this first. As far as this table and this information up on the screen, I should have asked you this before. How was this table created, and what, if anything, does this illustrate?
Yeah, so this illustrates from the chart of 12,629B. I started from when the vehicle was placed into reverse, and when it immediately goes from 0 and travels up to 23.6. Just that's like the last part of that last chart we had.
And what, if anything, were you able to do as far as distance travel, and how were you able to determine that?
So I used the spherical speeds and the time, and calculated a distance that the vehicle traveled during this time.
And as far as the total distance traveled from the 0 to the...
Okay, folks, so I want to pause here for a second. A few things. Number one, Aiden Kearney, we don't know exactly. He wasn't actually brought into criminal court. He had a civil court hearing today, folks, okay? Civil court hearing. We don't know what's going on with the new indictments. Second thing, God bless you. Someone had just mentioned, I think it was Loggins RN. Larry, I just looked at the phone as you actually said that, and I saw it come in, my dear friend. God bless you. I actually got 2 pieces of 7-Eleven pizza today, and I was so excited about streaming with you all that I only ate one of the pieces, which means I have literally only eaten about 400 calories today, but I also had an energy drink and a large coffee and a medium coffee. So I feel like if you give Towel the equivalent of 13 coffees and 1 piece of pizza, I can just go for hours on this stream. Okay, now, folks, we need to go back to this vehicle data. I'm going to rewind us a little bit. We are getting caught up on why this vehicle data is going to be even more intense during the second trial. The reason why is Adam Lally didn't use this vehicle data to its fullest potential. There is clear evidence that Karen Reed struck an object that weighed between 1 and 300 pounds at the moment of impact at 12:32 a.m. in 16 seconds. We're learning more about what the nature of Karen's telemetric data showed, but there's going to be even more data coming soon.
And as far as the total, just direct the jury's attention to what, if anything, of significance you observe in this portion of the data.
Yeah, so I circled in here the drop from 24.2 to 23.6, and also the steering wheel signal went from a left at 4.5 to a right 4.5, so positive to a negative. And also the same thing with the solar opening ratio kind of stays consistently at 74%.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
So, folks, we've seen now a little bit, okay, what some of this data is going to show. But I have even more testimony that will preview and complement what Murder by Maestro is talking about. And the reason why this is so important is because, ladies and gentlemen, remember, the Karen's own experts testified that Karen's car could not have caused the bump into John's car at 5:07 a.m. could not have caused the damage to her taillight. Now let's take a look. This was John's car. Karen claims in the staged ring video that I think Karen left, the only one of 18 videos between 12:37 a.m. when Karen got back to John's house and 5:08 a.m. The only video not deleted was one at 5:07 a.m. of Karen bumping into John's car gently. Karen's own experts say that car going that speed couldn't have broken her taillight. Now let's watch even more testimony about that.
So is this the same driver's side rear of Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle?
Yes, it is.
Now, as far as your observations of these photographs, what, if any, damage did you observe to Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle in either the last exhibit or this exhibit itself?
There was no damage.
Now, as far as the impact, let me ask, as far as the damage that you observed to the taillight area of the defendant's vehicle, what, if any, opinion do you have as to the amount of force necessary in order to cause that damage?
Objection.
We need a foundation on this.
So, Trooper, over the course of your, I'm sorry, how many crashes have you investigated over your time with the cars unit?
I've been primarily on 196 crashes.
And I know I'd asked you before about pedestrian crashes. Fair to say most of the remainder, if not all the remainder, involves vehicles colliding with other vehicles.
Correct.
Now, with respect to that experience in relation to vehicle crashes, what, if any, training or knowledge do you have in regard to sort of physical forces of vehicles in a collision sequence and what kind of damage you would anticipate?
So obviously the higher the speed, the more damage, the lower speed, the less damage.
And what, if any, from the observation that you made in that video and the observations that you made of the defendant's vehicle, what you observed in the video, was that consistent with the damage that you observed to the defendant's vehicle?
Objection.
So I'm going to allow this for voir dire. I just need to hear this information.
Understood, Your Honor. Thank you.
It is not consistent with the tail light in this collision.
And why not?
For one thing, the collision, the tail light is, 42 to 50 inches off the ground. So that vehicle would have to have damage 42 to 50 inches off the ground, because they would have had to contact each other in the same distance from the ground, and there's no damage to that vehicle. So if the tail light breaks, it should leave some sort of scratching, maybe a dent, something on some sort of damage to that vehicle should have occurred.
And with respect to, I think you just answered it. So as far as Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle, what kind of damage would you expect from an impact significant enough to break the plastic on the tail light of the defendant's vehicle?
It would be probably higher speed than what we saw.
For purposes of voir dire, I need to hear all of this. Mr. Johnson. Go ahead.
A higher speed than what we probably would saw in there. If it's not, it was minimal, maybe it would crack a tail light or something like that, but it wouldn't. I mean, the damage is different. And also, we have a bumper that's also in the way too.
And to that point, Trooper, when it comes to a bumper, from a functional standpoint, what is a bumper and what does it do with respect to a vehicle and a collision sequence?
The bumper is, it's basically meant as another cushion to absorb the impact to another vehicle, from one vehicle to another vehicle. And it kind of sticks out to kind of also preserve whatever, the tail lights and everything else and the damage on top of it.
So in order, from your experience as far as responding and investigating collisions, specifically collisions between motor vehicles, the speed that you observed the defendant's vehicle traveling in that video, what, if any, relationship does that have, specifically as to the bumper, as to the damage that you observed to the defendant's vehicle?
So if you look at the defendant's vehicle, there is a scratch mark that is along the left side starts from her bumper around the rear. That could be consistently with his hitting his bumper. That would be around the same height level. He has a little ridge there on his bumper. So that bumper could have been hit that little ridge. And also the bumper in itself, and here is a different material. Hers is a little lighter, like a glossy colored paint. This is more a duller flat finish. So it might have why it would show up on her bumper more than it would show up on his bumper.
And finally, sir, in your opinion, the damage to the defendant's taillight is that something that could have occurred or could have been caused by the crash or the contact of the vehicles that you observed in that video?
Objection.
No.
So again, this is voir dire, Mr. Jackson, going in here.
No.
And again, sir, why not?
For thing, the bumpers, you have to go push through the bumpers in order to hit the tail light against the other vehicle. And there's no damage significant damage to a bumper in order to push back into the car.
And again, there was no snow on the vehicle. By that, I mean Mr. O'Keefe's vehicle that even came off the vehicle that you observed during the course of that contact between the two vehicles.
That's correct.
I have nothing further on.
Hello, friends. I am here. I am with you. Folks, we are getting updated on this vehicle data. There is a lot of information to process. Just some of this is going to come in. Now, folks, I have an update. Aidan Kearney, Lindsay Gattani's motion to dismiss. In the Aidan Kearney case, Aidan Kearney has sued Lindsay Gattani, a named victim in his open criminal cases. That motion was taken under advisement. More background below. Ladies and gentlemen, that motion was taken under advisement. I managed to see the ruling. Ladies and gentlemen, it says it has not actually formally been ruled on. It was taken under advisement. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are monitoring closely. It seems Aidan Kearney was indicted as he walked into court when this motion was argued. And now, folks, we are seeing that Aidan Kearney did not prevail. That motion has been taken under advisement. The ruling has just come down. My name is GrantSmithEllis. We are monitoring. Aidan Kearney was indicted. If you are just getting caught up today, Aidan Kearney was indicted. Aidan Kearney was indicted. His charges from Stoughton District Court were bound over to Norfolk Superior Court. We do not know when Mr. Kearney is going in for arraignment, ladies and gentlemen. We do not know. But we do know that those indictments were handed up by a grand jury in Norfolk Superior Court. Now, as I mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, just posted on Twitter, you can see the update from the civil session in Lindsay Gattani's civil case involving Aidan Kearney. I am going to post that update for you now. You can see it up on your screen. I am a little towel. You can see right there, held under advisement, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you're wondering, folks, if you have just started joining this stream, Lindsay Gattani is a wonderful human being who is deserving of your support, a wonderful mother, a good person. She is a named victim in one of Aidan Kearney's criminal cases. So if you were following the updates about the new indictments, those are some of the victims in Kearney's cases. Chris Albert, Colin Albert, the named victims. But Lindsay Gattani is also a named victim. And I'll tell you, folks, if you want to look more into Lindsay Gattani's situation, if you want to see updates about that case, take a look at this post on Little Towel's Twitter. It just went up. It gives the full background, folks. It shows Lindsay Gattani's motions. It talks about the context of the case with Kearney, and it even has links to the motions that are now under consideration under advisement by the judge. If Gattani prevails, the civil case will be dismissed. If she and her arguments were based around absolute immunity for victims of ongoing active criminal cases. Sema, I don't know what I'm forgiving you for. Christina, what's going on? Generally, I don't imagine Sema denigrated Little Towel. It was probably just Sema doing her Sema trolling thing, which is, something we deal with. But Sema is also an honorary towel now, and therefore Sema must live up to the standards of the honorary towel fold. And I hope that she will do so. Now, okay, folks, we're going to get caught up just a little bit more as we wrap up the day. I just gave a final update, as I mentioned. I gave an update that Aidan Kearney's cases, of course, were the motion was taken under advisement. Ladies and gentlemen, the motion was taken under advisement, which is to say, folks, that Lindsay Gattani's motion to dismiss the civil case brought by Aidan Kearney was taken under advisement. Now, if you want to support Lindsay Gattani, I'm going to link a way for you to do so in the chat right now, and then we'll also talk a little bit more, because so many folks talk about Aidan Kearney and the criminal charges he's facing, but how many folks are willing to actually look into the victims? These are real human beings that are up against Mr. Kearney, and although we've been looking at the YouTube numbers, and other FKR channels are way bigger than Mr. Kearney now, some people are doubling or tripling Mr. Kearney's average views on their live streams, some of the other FKR channels. So even though Mr. Kearney's influence is waning, people who are fighting these battles with Mr. Kearney deserve your support. And folks, you can look more into Lindsay Gattani's fundraiser in the link in the chat. I just listed it for you. It's givesendgo.com/GEFJ4, all uppercase. G as in gamma, E as in epsilon, J as in jag. GEF, G is in gamma, E is in epsilon, F is in Frank, J is in Jag, for the number 4. Ladies and gentlemen, it is more than just faceless humans. It is real people behind some of these cases where Aidan Kearney is the named defendant, the criminal charges, and Lindsay Gattani is one of those named victims. All right, folks, let us circle back around. We're updating. We found out about the new Aidan Kearney indictments. We're sharing support for Lindsay Gattani. And now, folks, we are going to take a look indeed. We are going to take a look indeed at the final summary of today. If you missed it, if you're just tuning in, folks, today's Karen Read trial presentation of evidence was entirely canceled. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have looked extensively into the vehicle data. We're going to look more into that in another stream. That was an interesting side discussion. I think I have to find a way for Murder by Maestro to do a presentation for us. I think Murder by Maestro is a wonderful honorary towel, and the towel friends would love some kind of presentation. Murder by Maestro, however, is a 24-year-old that speaks hexadecimal, and we have to translate everything he says into complex human language. So we'll figure out a way to do that. But yes, Murder by Maestro is the person to explain this to all of us. And ladies and gentlemen, I know Murder by Maestro has been going through the telematic data and does not want to give any hints to the people who may try to subversively undermine that data, which so convincingly demonstrates Karen Read's guilt. However, we will figure out a way to present such information to you all in a lay format in order to educate, inform, and entertain the wider public, such as to engender cogent public discourse and ward off usurpations of our representative form of government, in particular in the judicial system. Yes, ladies. Well, no, Murder by Maestro in the towel universe is a 24-year-old who only speaks hexadecimal. Sema, if you understood that reference, you'd probably know that it's impossible to speak hexadecimal. I don't think anyone actually speaks hexadecimal. That would literally involve you saying things like 0xAFFE04AA You get the point. It would be very complicated. But that said, let's do a final update for the day, folks, because we finally got a day off. This was a fascinating series of events this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Little Towel got to court this morning, and immediately at 8:30, nearly right away, ladies and gentlemen, court was canceled out of nowhere, just as John O'Keefe's niece and nephew were reportedly about to testify. Well, the court just went into an absolute chaotic tailspin. Oh, Semolina, hexadecimal format. So if you know what base 10 numbers are, they're like the numbers that we normally know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can convert those numbers to like base 2, which I know this is a slight aside from our daily recap, but let's just do it because Sema wants to learn. And I think learning is important. You can convert a base 10 number to base 2, which is in essence, like say you want to represent the number 1 in base 2, it would be 0, 0, 0, 0, so 4 zeros, then 3 more zeros, 0, 0, 0, and then a 1. Now say you wanted to represent the number 2. Okay, well then you have to put a 1 in the 2's place. So 0, 0, 0, 0, 4 zeros, then 0, 0, 1, 0. That's how you'd represent the number 2. Now to represent the number 3, 4 zeros, then 2 more zeros, then a 1 and a 1. Get it? Then you'd have the 2's place activated, the 1's place activated. That's how you'd express 3. So that's base 2, okay, binary. But there's something else which is hexadecimal, which is is it base 8? It actually involves letters and numbers, but basically it's a way to interpret binumerical representation into a more expansive format to allow more expression. So instead of just being limited to these strings of zeros and ones, you can use 0 through 9 and then A through Z maybe, or A through H or something, but it's this combination of letters and numbers that express a fundamental numerical concept in a way that machines can understand, and it's the basis of coding. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad I got the opportunity to take that quick aside to explain the translation between base 10, base 2, and I think base 8, although I don't know how letters get involved in this whole situation. I took this course many years ago in like 2008, but I know something about the translations between those various type of numbers. And also, Murder by Maestro is not actually 24, but in the Towel universe, Murder by Maestro is 24 and speaks hexadecimal. Yes, Murder by Maestro is a genius towel. You think I can somewhat explicate these concepts into lay terms. Murder by Maestro thinks in these concepts. He is truly a wonderful towel. Someone's like, Grant is speaking Cantonese right now. Listen, folks, don't you all want to learn how to speak to machines? If you understand how the machine thinks, you can make the machine do things. Don't you understand? If machines are as good as your ability to get their back-end numerical representations to translate into what you want on the screen. So you got to cut out the graphical user interface. You got to cut out this whole clicking and pointing and copy pasting. That is not what a computer really is. That is just the veneer behind which the true power of the computer hides, whether it's a device or a laptop or a phone. Ladies and gentlemen, the computer is thinking in numbers, and you must also learn how to think in those numbers if you want to get the most out of the machines. This has now become some kind of existential lecture about why the machines are going to take us over unless we learn to think in numbers. Oh no, Murder by Maestro, I'm very concerned. Oh, ladies and gentlemen. This is the funniest conversation. Francis Fertrell, we will not leave you behind. We're explaining how you can start with a number like the number 2 and then express that number in zeros and ones, and then you can then translate it again into zeros and like the letter A, and that's how computers think. And if you can understand that very basic concept, well, then this lesson for Semolina. See, Sema, you had a question. The class had a question. I don't think this is a class. I think it's more of a tightly woven fabric of the towel universe. But you had a question other people wanted to learn about. And now, my word, ladies and gentlemen, we have learned. And you know what I also realized? I think I'm willing to come back up on the screen and say hello to you little towels. I had been honoring my dear father with his picture on the screen, but I'm willing to come say hello to you as we end the day. Some people said they even like how expressive Towel is. By the way, Towel friends, we're going to read it tomorrow, but I'm hearing that an obituary is going to run for my father, and I think it's going to be in the Globe. I'm not sure what other papers. I'm going to get a copy of it. And I will share it with you, dear friends. My father, Frederick Ellis, sadly passed away 2 nights ago. And yesterday's stream, of course, was in honor of my father, Frederick Ellis, and Crime Cricket's mom, the wonderful Towel Crime Cricket, who also, his mom, passed away over the weekend. So keep us and our families in your hearts and minds and prayers, little towels. It does mean a lot, and it does matter. But yes, Towel friends, I really did enjoy being able to help educate, inform, and entertain there. And let's do our summary. For the people who are just tuning in, there was no court today in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial. There is nothing to update you about. Little Towel arrived to the courthouse around 7:38 in the morning. Ladies and gentlemen, the members of the media, it was me, it was the guy from Court TV, it was Canton Community TV, Sue O'Connell was behind me. I'm pretty sure Katie Benoit was there. I think I saw Penny from WBZ, and then the guy from Channel 5. Ladies and gentlemen, we stood around. We were about to be given our media passes in the clerk's office. It was 8:33 in the morning when all of a sudden things ground to a halt. 3 minutes later at 8:36 in the morning, ladies and gentlemen, at 8:36 in the morning, things got ground to a complete halt. We got an email from the court. The court spokesperson, the SJC spokesperson saying, ladies and gentlemen, that court had been canceled for the day. No notice. Ladies and gentlemen, things began unfolding at a rapid pace at that point. The O'Keefe family, it was reported, were around the side of the courthouse. They got the news at the last moment. They quickly bundled back into their cars and left. Karen Reed never appeared, ladies and gentlemen, at court. And then I'll show you what unfolded over the next 3 hours, ladies and gentlemen. My name is GrantSmithEllis, by the way. Thank you for tuning in on this for this recap of the day that didn't happen in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial. The day just did not happen, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, God bless you, Jack D65. Murder by Maestro is Einstein, and apparently Towel is Aristotle. Oh, that's a dangerous combination. Tao's not actually feeling that well. Let's see, Sema, if there even is court tomorrow. We have no idea what's going on, and we'll talk about that as this update goes on. How do you have a 24-hour medical emergency that just gets better? We're going to figure it out, folks. And thank you all so much for your hugs and compassion to all each other. We need to continue with our update. Folks, here we go. As I mentioned, 8:36 a.m. we get the news, and then after the news has come in that court is canceled, this was Hank Brennan's arrival. Little towel. This was when I was waiting in line before we got the news it was canceled. Let's look at Hank Brennan's arrival at court today. So that was Hank Brennan's arrival, folks. And then, just minutes later, out of nowhere, folks, just minutes later, Hank Brennan left the courthouse and had very little to say. We had no idea what was going on at this time. The media was very perplexed. Let's take a look at Hank Brennan leaving for the first time.
Mr. Brennan, you know my court was canceled today.
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
We're going to watch this again.
Mr. Brennan, you know my court was canceled today.
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Have a good day, guys.
We got nothing, folks. We got nothing from Mr. Brennan. And then you'll see Hank Brennan came back into court a little bit later. He also still had nothing to say. We had no idea what was going on. I'm going to buffer the video. Hold on.
Mr. Buddy. Mr. Buddy, can you shed any light on the situation today?
How is everybody?
Good. How are you, sir?
And he was gone. We had no idea. We started hearing rumblings about an 11 a.m. Zoom, folks. Well, let me show you. Hank Brennan then left the courthouse again, came back. Towel caught footage of it. You don't really see anything. It's just Hank Brennan walking back into the
Mr.
court
Brennan.
time. And then, folks, out of nowhere, we see this post from Jenna Rocco. Karen's not feeling well at 9:17. Really not feeling well, and the court doesn't go into session instead at 11 a.m., folks. At 11 a.m., there was a Zoom. There was a Zoom, ladies and gentlemen. And I also mentioned earlier that Dolly Vision and PJ Vision had the state police sent over to them. They were two Justice for John O'Keefe supporters who drove up from Virginia. They didn't really do anything. And for some reason, the FKR people, I think they heard rumors about them or something. So they sent the state police over to them. The state police talked to PJ Vision and Dolly Vision very quickly. Nothing really happened. The state police then walked away, and that was the end of that interaction. But there you can see a quick clip of it. And I'll even let it buffer a little bit for you. And there's a little bit clearer clip. Then, ladies and gentlemen, this is where it all went nuts. 11 a.m., the court comes into session. John Hall from is there reporting. Little Towel's following John Hall up the stairs, and the media is coming into the courtroom. Only John Hall gets in the courtroom. Judge Cannone calls a sidebar. It's Karen Reed, not Karen. It's Karen Reed's lawyers. It's Alan Jackson in a sweatshirt on Zoom. It's David Yannetti in some kind of office in a suit, and then it's the prosecution in court. Judge Cannone calls a sidebar. The sidebar noise is so loud in court that Alan Jackson and David Yannetti can't really hear. So the judge kicks out the media from the room entirely, courtroom 25, and closes it. There's no recording. There's no nothing. Well, there was a court reporter there, obviously. There's no actual record of this. So then they're all at sidebar, okay? And it's on Zoom. It's Alan Jackson, who had to ask for permission to turn his camera on in a sweatshirt, which Judge Cannone was fine with. And then no Karen Reed, apparently. I didn't get confirmation of that. And then afterwards, ladies and gentlemen, the court clerk comes out of the room, doesn't tell us anything, but says there was a scheduling hearing. That's what just went on today. And then after that chaos. And then the clerk confirms after a question from a reporter that someone related to the case it was a medical issue. That's all we got. Now, couple that with the reports about Karen, well, now this was the final exit for Hank Brennan. He left the building for the final time at about 11:31 this morning. Let's watch it. I'm gonna let it buffer. Hold on. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. Now, this was Towell engaging with Hank Brennan. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. So there you go, folks. That was it. And then Aidan Kearney got indicted. So let's actually do, now that more and more of you are tuning in, and I didn't turn my camera on until halfway through that, let's do a clip. Let's do a recap for the day that wasn't. The John O'Keefe and Karen Reed retrial day that never happened. So many of you keep asking what happened since I've been trying to update it in real time. So let's just do it. Oh, that's so nice of you, Beach Nance. I like to think Mr. Brennan smiles down on Little Towel. All right, let's do it. We're definitely starting with Aidan Kearney getting indicted. Here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is GrantSmithEllis. The day that wasn't day 15, the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial, the day that got canceled, and then out of nowhere, folks, as chaos reigned at Norfolk Superior Court, Aidan Turtleboy Kearney was indicted 2 further times by a grand jury of his peers. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's GrantSmithEllis, also known as Towel. Let us review the day that wasn't in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial for those Towel friends who missed it. Those of you who have been here will get this for a third time, but that's okay. Being informed and engaged members of the Towel universe is truly what life is all about. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you also missed it, we broke 1,000 Towel subscribers on the Towel channel. It was a moment of celebration. You all have so kindly taken Towel to 1,000 Towel subscribers. It was a beautiful moment, ladies and gentlemen. Now, folks, I must say, we will continue to review this day. It started, folks. It started with chaos and the Karen Reed trial being canceled, potentially due to Karen's health, due to a serious last-minute situation that no one really understands. But the new indictments against Aidan Kearney were announced in the afternoon, just after 1:45 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see them up on your screen. 2 more felony witness intimidation indictments. Aidan Kearney's charges from Stoughton District Court bound over to Norfolk Superior Court. Kearney will face arraignment either via summons or arrest at some point soon. We will keep you updated. But yes, folks, later in the day, Kearney was then in civil court as he got news about his 2 new indictments and a motion from Lindsay Gattani, one of the named victims in Kearney's open criminal felony cases, was in civil court to move to dismiss a lawsuit that Gattani alleges was filed frivolously and in bad faith by Kearney and in violation of the anti-SLAPP statute, and oral arguments resulted in the judge in the case taking the motion under advisement. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will take you back to the beginning of the day. We will quickly run through what happened. At 8:30 a.m. or so, ladies and gentlemen, the media, including Little Towel, were let into the Norfolk Superior Court. Yes, folks, as we were let into the Norfolk Superior Court at 8:30, about 8:33 a.m., we were standing, a few of us, it was the court TV person, it was somebody from Canton Community TV, I think it was Andrea, Sue O'Connell was behind me, Penny from Channel 4 was there, Katie Benoit was there, and the guy from Channel 5 was there. We were standing there in a huddle. We were waiting in line for our media passes. They were about to hand them out. In dramatic scenes, folks, dramatic scenes, everything came grinding to a halt in that clerk's office. At 8:36, as we're all still standing there with the process ground to a halt, people they weren't running around with their heads cut off like chickens, but their atmosphere was tense. At 8:36 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, an email comes in from the Public Information Office at the Supreme Judicial Court in charge of all courts in the Commonwealth, informing the media that the day's Karen Read and John O'Keefe trial was completely canceled. But was that the end? No, ladies and gentlemen, that was only the beginning, because rumors started swirling, unconfirmed though they were, that there would be an 11 a.m. hearing. And then, ladies and gentlemen, things got even more intense. In ruckus scenes around the courthouse, Towell watched as the O'Keefe family arrived for the day's testimony. John's now thrice orphaned niece and nephew prepared to testify. Ladies and gentlemen, the O'Keefe family, according to reports of people who were walking by, were told to get back in their car and leave. Karen Read and her family never showed up to court at all, or her defense team. Ladies and gentlemen, the prosecution, however, did show up, and they were in the courthouse, but they had little to say. Let's look at Hank Brennan's arrival. You could tell something was off. We still don't really know what happened, ladies and gentlemen, but here was Hank Brennan's arrival. That was Hank Brennan's arrival, folks. The scenes were tense. Little did we all know just minutes later court would be canceled for the day. But no, did the media leave? We would refuse to leave. Oh, folks, Chris notes that Towell is affectionately sometimes known as Grant, Howard Cosell, David Attenborough, GrantSmithEllis, David Attenborough, of course, the legendary BBC presenter, because sometimes Towell will say, oh, look, we are observing the Karen in her natural courtroom environment. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was Hank Brennan's arrival. Did it stop there? No, folks, because Hank Brennan then had to leave the court after it was announced the day's trial, the proceedings were canceled. And what did Hank Brennan have to say to the media? Let's take a listen now.
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Have a good day, guys. Hey.
Let's watch that one more time in HD to see if we can get a hint as to his body language.
Mr. Brennan, you know my court was canceled today?
Try to enjoy the day. It's beautiful out.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Have a good day, guys.
He's not beaming, folks. He's not beaming. He looks concerned. I think for obviously Karen Read's health might have been an issue. We don't know exactly, ladies and gentlemen, we don't know exactly what happened. But, folks, I will say, folks, that it was a very concerning development. And then Hank Brennan came back to court minutes later. No one in the media knew what was going on. It was scenes of literal chaos. Reporters very confused, walking around like chickens with their heads cut off. And then Mr. Brennan returned to court.
Mr. Brennan, can you shed any light on the situation today?
How is everybody?
Good. How are you, sir? Now you can see Hank Brennan, folks, delivering the news to I think some of the victims' advocates possibly up there on the courthouse stairs. It was all developing in real time. And then, folks, this, you heard Mr. Brennan left the first time. Then Mr. Brennan returned to the courthouse again. You just saw he actually left again, came back a third time, and as that was happening, we got this news from Jenna Rocco in a deleted tweet from 9/17 this morning that Karen was not feeling well. Well, ladies and gentlemen, things continued to get intense, because we also saw the moment where Dolly Vision and PJ Vision were state police were sent over to them by the Free Karen Reed people for reasons that didn't make sense because Dolly Vision and PJ Vision didn't actually do anything. State police quickly talked to them. Nothing really happened as a result. We'll show just a quick few moments of that interaction. The state police walked away. PJ Vision and Dolly Vision just walked away. There was nothing that actually happened. Everything was peaceful. That was a completely unnecessary interaction. I don't know why the FKR people called the police over to those people. Anyway, then, ladies and gentlemen, then the moment started rapidly developing. So Towell runs back over to the court after observing that interaction between the state police and the FKR people and Free and PJ Vision and Dolly Vision. And Towell at 11 a.m. sees the court has come into session on a Zoom feed not regularly accessible. Karen, there was one reporter in the courtroom before he got kicked out. It was John Hall. John Hall reported that Karen Reed's lawyer came up on the Zoom feed. Alan Jackson initially told the court that he didn't want to turn his camera on, ladies and gentlemen, because he had a sweatshirt on. Judge Cannoni told him he could do so anyway. David Yannetti, Karen Reed's lawyer, popped up on the Zoom in a suit. And then, folks, Judge Cannoni closed the courtroom. She started a sidebar, turned the white noise on, kicked the media out of the courtroom, and the prosecution, Hank Brennan, Adam Lally, Caleb Schillinger, and Laura McLaughlin were all there. They were in the courtroom. Reed's two attorneys on the Zoom. Unclear if Karen was on the Zoom. And the clerk, then 10 minutes later, dramatic moments, came out of the courtroom, the little courtroom, and said to the 6 media members there, he said, that was just a scheduling hearing. I can't tell you anything. And then one of the media members said, well, is one of the parties related to the case sick? Or is it a medical issue related to one of the parties of the case? And the court clerk said, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an intense day. We still don't have clarity as to who was sick, why they were sick, or if we're even going to be into session tomorrow. We're going to plan on it, but we don't know what's going on, folks. This has been intense. So after all that wraps up, after 11 a.m., let's look at Hank Brennan leaving the court. We're going to watch this twice because we're going to let it buffer and play back. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. Now let's watch one more. Enjoy the weather, Mr. Brennan. That was it, folks. That's how the day ended. It was quite intense. There was just an air of confusion, of uncertainty, of just pure chaos. And then, folks, Aidan Kearney got indicted literally in the middle of the Towell stream. We broke 1,000 Towell subscribers. Aidan Kearney's charges were bound over to Norfolk Superior Court. And then Lindsay Gattani's motion to dismiss the civil case filed by Kearney, despite Lindsay being a named victim in Kearney's open felony cases, was taken under advisement. Folks, my name is GrantSmithEllis. That's how you review the day that wasn't in the John O'Keefe and Karen Reed trial. How can so much happen on a day when court was canceled, you may ask? Well, folks, I am the energetic little towel here to explain it to you, and we just did so in under 12 minutes, and that makes us efficient, absolutely erudite, cogent, and informed little towels. Follow along tomorrow, youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. Where is all this going? I have no idea. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure we'll somehow involve the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, Chewbacca, who's actually a dog named Chloe in a wig, and me continuing to think that I'm a horse racing announcer towel. Oh, dear goodness. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to finish this clip. Go talk to the towel friends. Tune in tomorrow morning. God help us all. My name's GrantSmithEllis. Tune in. Watch live with special care and cam coverage. youtube.com/@GrantSmithEllis. Oh, towel friends, the humanity. Oh, the humanity. I don't know what's going on anymore. I'm so concerned. I think something serious might have happened to Karen. We have not heard any updates. I would know because people would have talked about it in the chat. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, some of you were being so kind. Someone said that Towel is a savant without limits and no red lights. Oh, Towel does like to talk fast. I don't know if you all heard it yesterday, but I was practicing my auctioneering Towel intonation. I was doing things like saying, oh, ladies and gentlemen, if only we could use this tone to explicate the beauty of cogent public discourse to ward off the usurpation of our representative forms of government. Ladies and gentlemen, we could engender that kind of beautiful compassion and discourse among our fellow members of the public. And by doing so, we could uplift each other and therefore bring about a new epoch defined by unconditional love and compassion. My auctioneering towel is intonation is a little bit better earlier in the morning, folks. But my word, can I say a lot of words very quickly? And I do think if we slowed it down and played it, it would actually make sense. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I happen to use the Reithian values of educating, informing, and entertaining the public as they were meant to be used. Yes, this wonderful form of syntactical precision is able to reflexively engage you in a communicative form of discourse based on oration, which somehow engages you to become informed and entertain members of the public. And if that entertainment helps you become more informed and engaged, then I have lived up to my eudaimonia in the Greek or my summum bonum in the Latin. Now, for the good of Little Towel's voice, let us calm down. Let Little Towel relax. Let me take a sip of water, and let me thank the towel friends in the chat before we wrap up. Some folks said that they've listened to me at 2 times speed in the past, and it is very intense. Now, you know what we have to do at the end of each towel stream, folks. I appreciate you all tuning in and getting caught up. There is a very simple rule at the end of towel stream, friends, and that is we go through and we show our appreciation to all the wonderful towel friends who have been in the towel chat. Now, Macy, I saw you in there. Murdered by my A-stroke. God bless you, dear friend. Listening to Grant at 2x speed opens a time-space wormhole. Sema, we appreciate you. Joining. Eva, you are a dear towel friend. WD40, I love your username. Heartstar, you as well. None your business and Sema are FKR contingent among the honorary towels. You all are being very respectful. Towel appreciates it. Paula, it was so good to see you, dear friend. Beach Nance, God bless you. I was so pleased to see you pop up in the comments today. Bailey, as always, dear friend, your contributions are wonderful. Malcolm Barrett, I can't tell what you are, Malcolm Barrett. You say all sorts of interesting things. Chris, dear friend, it was great to see you. I know Elevate the Process, I saw you in there. It was great to see you actually today, dear friend. I'm sorry we didn't get to chat more, but it was wonderful to run into you. Colleen Henry, you always have such wonderful insights. And let's remember Artworks 2 friend, the towel friend who alerted us to the Aidan Kearney indictments. God bless you, friend. Carly, it was great to see you. I'm so glad you managed to pop into the chat. Christina, our dear reporter towel, it was great to see you. As always, we'll talk more about your updates in the morning. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to see you all were able to engage. LA Connection, my dear friend, Hank Brennan got access to some of that phone data. We don't know how much. It was great to see you. OMFGITSMIRS, thank you so much for your support, dear towel friend. It means so much. Jack 65, I may be an acquired taste, but I'm thrilled you all have found a towel home here. Jesse S86, it was great to have you with us. I know you got an answer. TB did not get arrested as far as we know, but he was bound over on 2 new indictments. They're new indictments in the sense that the charges were out of district court in Stoughton before. Now a grand jury has bound them over and he has been indicted. Ladies and gentlemen, it was so good to see all of you, and you know we are going to have updates from Reporter Towel Christina. Oh my goodness, ladies and gentlemen, we may even have to do this update now. We got one of the greatest updates from Reporter Towel Christina I have ever seen in my entire life. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think Alan Jackson is going to be pleased to hear the news. Well, see the news. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, Christina located the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man in Chewbacca. Apparently, the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, I thought he was a communist. I thought that was a hammer and sickle at first. It is actually just his logo. I was very concerned that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is actually a secret undercover Chinese government agent. As you know, we have no problem with the Chinese people, but we will not platform the Chinese Communist Party on Towel Stream. Oh, dear God, we almost showed the Chinese foreign minister giving a speech yesterday, and I went into an absolute towel conniption. I started yelling. I said, under no circumstances will we show the Chinese Communist Party. And people became very confused. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, we have located Chewbacca and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Alan Jackson is going to come for me. Oh, no. What have you done, Christina? Oh, this is terrible. They somehow were hiding in my room the whole time. Oh, dear God, the humanity. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, reporter Towel Christina brought us the update that I was not ready for. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen, they were in my room the whole time. My office, my sanctuary. I've been harboring Chloe, who's actually, Chewbacca, who's actually a dog named Chloe in a wig, and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who I thought was a communist for some reason. Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen. This is just terrible news. Listen, I want to help the Chewy and the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, but if Alan Jackson finds out about this, do you know what that man will do? He will get an F-16 and intercept these two. Oh, dear goodness, ladies and gentlemen. Semelina, stop it, Sema. We, if you want to prove, Sema, we don't need to go down that road. We are cordial, compassionate towels. We're trying to talk about the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man and Chewbacca. Oh, my dear God. Oh, no. Someone said that the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man could technically have been a communist. Oh, no. Oh, no, folks. This is just... Listen, now I have a communist Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on my hands. I don't know what to do anymore. Alan Jackson is going to come to collect these two, and I'm going to be like, take them. They're trying to convert us to communism. I want no part of this. I'm calling the House Un-American Activities Committee. Alan Jackson is going to be like, that does not exist anymore. Pilgrim Shadow, dear friend, this is actually why I stuck around, because I wanted to make sure I got to say goodbye to some of you in the comments, because my comment stream didn't go back as far as I would like it to. Jimbo, I saw you in there, dear friend. Anthony Barton, I know I saw your name pop up. It was great to see you. Linda A., my dear friend, thank you so much for popping in. We will see each other tomorrow. Francis Frutrell was in there. Great to see you, dear towel friend. Francis Frutrell donated 200 tomato plants to one of their friends, and those tomato plants were named honorary towels in one of our earliest acts of service. Ange Whittick, oh, God bless you, dear friend, and I've been keeping your family in mind, and God bless your dear brother who passed away. I know all the towel friends have been keeping you in mind. Allie90211, Modelo Macy, both of you are so wonderful, and Mandy Strong, we had our first ever towel proposal the other day. Mandy Strong has denoted as become the honorary towel spouse. Towel became a little bit blushed in the face. Towel's a little afraid of commitment. We'll work on it. Mira Hardy, dear friend, it was great to see you. I was so pleased to see your name pop up. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Stacy Gardner, I saw you pop up in there as well, dear friend. It was a pleasure. Trevor McIntyre, I know you were in there, friend. Thank you very much. And None Your Business, as always, thank you. And Sema for representing your part of the contingent. Oh, friends, so many of you were chatting even in our short stream today. Amber Alexander, and thank you so much for coming through. We don't know exactly what happened with Karen's illness. We're trying to get updates. It apparently was Karen who was sick. We don't know what's going on. As far as we know, court tomorrow as scheduled, but we'll keep you posted, folks. We'll keep you posted. Pilgrim Shadow, as I mentioned, dear friend, God bless you. Enjoy the rest of your day. Mandy Strong, again, thank you so much, Super Towel. Now, friends, you know that I leave you in 3 ways. 1, we reached our 1,000 subscriber goal, so thank you so much for that today, and God bless all of you. I'm sure we're actually above it now. But, friends, Towel really appreciates all of your support. If you are watching the stream and you want to like this stream while it's live, or if you want to subscribe while the stream is live, apparently that helps the channel. It costs you nothing, and it makes Little Towel. Oh, Wicked Uma, I'm so glad I got to see you, dear friend. God bless you. I appreciate your condolences and that you've been thinking of Little Towel. I'm so glad I got to see your comment pop up in the chat. Murder by Maestro, God bless you for sticking around the whole time, by the way. But yes, friends, you can subscribe to this channel. You can like the stream. That's one way you can support Towel Channel. Now, so many of you have been so kind, and I'm going to check my phone after. Some of you have been helping. You all have kept Little Towel going. Your support of this public information service does not go unnoticed. Much like PBS or the BBC, every 90 minutes or so, you get a reminder that there's no commercials, there's no ads. 7-Eleven hasn't sponsored me yet. I just really like their pizza. So you all, this is user-supported public information service, a user-supported public information service. You make this programming possible for other folks out there. You've created this wonderful towel universe, and I will continue to try to live up to and honor the spirit of that wonderful ethos. Sema, God bless you for asking. I think Towel does actually need a little bit of help. Towel definitely uses like monthly loan things, and then I lose all of my money right away, so I have a negative like worth, and I'm trying to fix that. I just have so many doctor's appointments, and this weekend there's Towel has to go to a funeral service. Towel's going to need some help this week, friends. Please don't donate if it would burden you. Please don't donate if you've already donated, and it would be, like I said, it would be a burden. I promise you, every donation that comes in, I earmark. I use it either for my medicine or my food, or for gas. Like I went to the court today. I do my best, and I try to reply to every single one. But yes, one of the ways that you can support Towel Stream beyond the channel itself, I just listed them in the comments. Please do not feel obligated, but if you find this information helpful, you want to support the channel, and Semolina, if you want to send a donation, it was very kind of you to ask, then yes, Towel has a Cashapp, which is the money symbol, GrantSmithEllis. I got a very kind donation earlier that I'm absolutely going to use to buy another slice of pizza, because I forgot to eat my second one earlier because I wanted to talk to you all so much. And then I have a Venmo, which is at Grant, the hyphen E1. You'll know it's me because it's a picture of an inflatable Elmo, which is an homage to my friend who was a military veteran who passed away sadly before I got to send him that picture, and his nickname was Elmo. And then the third way is you can use PayPal, paypal.me/GrantEllis, GrantEllis. And then, ladies and gentlemen, we close this stream. Oh, Rockstar 60. The update in Miss Reed is nothing so far. We don't know what's going on. Tune in tomorrow morning. But the way we close every stream, folks, if you're new here, we close it the same way every time. And that is the real way that you would uplift Little Towel. The real way, if you learned something even in this short stream, if you found the information useful, please go out there, do small acts of service for other people. Something as small as a handshake to a stranger, a smile on the street, visiting a family member, reaching out to a friend you haven't heard from in a while, looking for reasons to donate to homeless veterans or help the most vulnerable. Those are the things that matter. Donating tomato plants and having them named honorary towels like Francis Furtrell did. Looking for reasons to help those around you like Crime Cricket and other honorary towels. Being people, men, women, and towels for others. That is what will make Towel feel like you have paid forward the knowledge if you learned something today that you obtained. That is what would make Towel's soul feel fulfilled and would uplift Little Towel. Oh, God bless you. Someone sent over a donation, and I actually looked down at my phone when it came in. I'll say your first initials, which are ME. God bless you. I did get that. It means so much to me. Towel is obviously balancing a lot, and the support. I think I go to bed at night, and I think, like, if these Towel friends can all feel supported among each other, and I feel so supported among them, then we can do great things for this world. We can uplift the standards of public discourse. We can show the world that a soft power political order based on preserving, demonstrating, and expanding unconditional love is possible. We can uplift the standards of public discourse in this country and around the world, and let that be our legacy, fellow Towels. That is what will truly make Little Towel feel pleased and blessed. Yes, friends, Towel should rest. Let me rest my voice. Let me take the rest of the afternoon off. We will see each other tomorrow. How this is all going to go down, I don't know. I don't know how. I think I'm going to stay home tomorrow. That was a lot on Little Towel's body today. We can't even live tweet if the niece and nephew testify. So we're only going to get written reports after the fact. Let me think about the best way to approach all this. Let's talk in the morning. Let's plan on 7:30. And more so than anything else, Yes, Claudia, as far as we know, let's plan on court being on for tomorrow, but let's note that it's probably going to be blacked out for the niece and nephew's testimony. We'll spend some time together. Hopefully Towel's voice will feel better. All right, God bless, friends. Let's let Towel get some rest. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. It's been chaos. Towel loves you. I appreciate you all. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your day. And please, truly, continue to look for reasons to help and love one another. It could come up at any moment of the day, an opportunity to help. And if you think in that moment, would Grant smile if I helped this person? And you do it, then I've lived up to my Towel purpose. All right, we're going to end the X feed first. Sorry, X feed. The YouTube friends get a few extra minutes. All right. Oh, God bless you. God bless you, Jack D. I am so glad I got to see that before we went to break. God bless you, dear Towel friend. You have a wonderful acquired taste. Isn't Towel slightly funny? You know, I remember I have such a photographic memory. I remember all of your comments, and then I associate them with you, and so I know all of you. Like, I remember so many of you. I literally remember you by name. So you've made imprints on Towel's mind. God bless you, Claudia. God bless you, Sema, as well. Thank you so much. You're so kind. Look, folks, we have different views on this channel, and we're still kind to each other. And in these last minutes on the YouTube, let me just say, you all truly have warmed Towel's heart. This Towel YouTube community, like the Twitter folks don't get to participate in the chat. You all have made this stream something very special. You're beyond Tesseracts. You are whatever a fifth dimension being is, leaving a mere imprint on our 3D universe. You all are a force to behold, a force of nature, a force of towels. And I am truly humbled to be among you all. Towel loves you, YouTube friends. I'll see you bright and early. Get some rest. Be well. Go with God. And yes, please consider following Little Towel. Subscribe to the channel. You know all that good stuff. And say thanks to all the wonderful Towel friends around you. You all make this stream really amazing. It's really just me being a conduit and interacting with you all as a medium to help it grow. But you all make this stream, and it means so much. All right, good night. God bless. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesdays, Towel friends. I'll see you tomorrow bright and early, along with Chewbacca and Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, who have